Live from the Findlay Toyota Studios, it's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, here we go on Tuesday. Willie's here. It's Cofield. James as well. It's Cofield and Company, ESPN Las Vegas. Football. We're, a half dozen days into both football camps with UNLV and the Raiders. So I'll have some UNLV stuff coming up later on. We have comments from the quarterbacks in the race for the starting job. I put that in air quotes, so I'll explain that later. But Jackson Arnold and Alex Orji, and then also the OC, Corey Dennis. And then lots of observations, and we'll get some sound later on the Raiders. But, Willie, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Crazy busy week. I mean, we're always busy, but just it's been insane just with different this is the time of the year where as things are getting started, I'll literally go from 90 minutes of writing heavy WNBA, and then all of a sudden you're writing heavy NFL, and then you're writing heavy betting action. And I mean, I look up and it's gone from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m., and I've covered 3 different topics, writing 1,000 to 2,000 words, and then it's just wild because you push, and you all day you're focused on different topics to bring to the radio show. Someone else that might be covering the Raiders, they're thinking Raiders all day. But it's just been nonstop, really, because of and then you got the trade deadlines in the WNBA, trade deadlines in baseball, college football, they're having to study. So everything's really
We're not complaining, right?
No.
These are great times.
Yeah, it's great times. It's
only going to get crazier, as we pointed out many times with the NBA and when baseball is actually on the ground here.
It's actually like going to the gym and just hitting a bunch of body parts. It's just getting you ready.
I don't know what you're talking about. The gym? Body parts? What?
Oh, it's like you go to the buffet.
Right. Hit the thighs, hit the thunder thighs, hit the belly, hit the back fat.
Like the old school station casinos, the feast, hitting the different ethnicities. I hit the Mexican station, hit the Middle Eastern station. I remember when Palms came out and the Maloofs owned it. And you could, and they had the real good authentic ethnicities. Their buffet was good. Well, we can
stick to sports, buddy.
Yeah, no food on sports talk.
I came back after a couple days off, and now the APD, America's Program Director, JTTB, is going to get all mad because you brought up some food in the first 6 minutes of the show. What are you doing? I will say, have I seen you? I haven't seen you since you've been back. We talked. I did see the interesting note that where the Fiesta used to be, and Texas Station, that a fast food joint just bought the property across the street there. So I will say that was my favorite buffet in the old days in the late 90s.
Well, those are station casinos, station buffets.
Fiesta wasn't at the time. I think Fiesta may have been a Maloof property early.
Was it?
Yeah.
And then bought by Maloof was Palm, so that would have been they would have done the same thing.
I'd have to look it up, but that was one of those meeting points where you'd go for like 3 hours, so you're not making any money, and you get a buffet for $13. The old days, right? When it wasn't $80 or $100 to go to the buffets.
Buffets in Vegas are always going to be a staple, Mark. We'll always be able to bring it up on topic.
So we have a smorgasbord of Raiders topics. There's so much to get into. What do you think are the most important positions that we need answers on early in the season to see if this team actually can get to 8 or 9 wins, or just be a rebuilding franchise that gets 5 or 6?
Offensive line.
Yep. And I think defensive backfield is really important. We'll get to that theme. But the offensive line for sure.
It's just because we've become so conditioned with this organization where they drafted for it, they built it, and then they never really fixed it. They always had confidence in who was there, or we'll move this guy to this position, or we'll move this guy up and then shift this guy. But it's never been just an overhaul. The one time that they invested big, right, with the draft pick in Leatherwood, would he last a season? So
terrible pick.
It's always been it's been a priority in talk, but never in action. Right, actions speak louder than words, and we've just never really seen it. And a lot of you can go back. I mean, the only success you can really point your finger at was the year that Josh Jacobs won the NFL rushing title. Other than that, what's been a success that you can say, Well, thanks to the offensive line, this. If anything, it's always been a complaint. So, yes, that's part of the, the rebuild. And I think that's I don't think that's a bad thing. I think anything that's going to be part of a rebuild with this organization is good right now this season, and it's sort of everything's on the table because of the coaching staff, and it's the first year of the coaching staff. So they're starting fresh, and they're going to want to have that slate clean for themselves as well.
Well, they made the pivot years ago. You remember when Gruden came in, and then I don't know if it was organizational money issues or Gruden wanted to cut money and put it somewhere else, but obviously early on they moved on from Amari Cooper.
Let me just interject real quick.
Yep.
When I say new, I don't mean a new coach. I'm talking about a new coaching staff where the head guy has never done this before. So Gruden was a retread, right? He had been a head coach. So when I say that's my mindset when I say that. But go ahead.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily referencing Kubiak. I'm talking about organizational philosophy across 3 or 4 different coaching staffs.
Yeah. That
the O-line went from being a top 5 paid unit in the National Football League to one that was bottom 7 paid, and they just haven't drafted well enough or picked up guys in free agency to make up for it. You remember Colton Miller seemed like a stretch at the time, but he's been a pretty good left tackle, a top 12 left tackle in the National Football League. But they had Osemele, they had a great player at center, and they were like, hey, we're not paying these guys anymore. We trust what we do. And it was that staff followed by McDaniel's staff and this most recent staff. Hey, they said they believe in what they do in terms of scouting. It hasn't worked out. Now, one of the guys from last year, DJ Glaze, is challenging at right tackle. Right tackle is the question because I think they're going to figure out the guard positions, but right tackle is one of the positions that's interesting. And one of the guys who, they really want to get a look at, like I said, is DJ Glaze. Some of the observations from camp today, I was not there. These are a collection of tweets today that Glaze had a good day. And I love this note. This is actually from Sam Warren at The Athletic, who's doing a really good job there. You can tell clearly, The Athletic, and I don't really love The Athletic, but one, they put a premium on putting out messages on Twitter. Not everyone does that. Not everyone should do it, right, Willie? I think there's a question about how much people use that social media platform, but you can tell that Sam played some college football. He's a walk-on at Syracuse. But he said, DJ Glaze had a good day today, managed Max Crosby better, set the edge for some runs. Now, 1, I didn't play college football. 2, I'm not comfortable tweeting out stuff like that because of the stupid reaction you get sometimes. Like, those notes are great. I will use those notes to talk to people who I believe are experts. But one of the first reactions to DJ Glaze had a good day, managed Max Crosby better, set the edge for some runs. Someone tweeted in reaction, Crosby getting locked up by Glaze, it's over. Okay.
Just pack it in. Just start. Just, you know what? They shouldn't even play this year.
Yeah.
You know what? Try to trade him again. It's over.
Yeah.
Clowns.
Tell me if I committed a sin today. I put a video of some practice up, and a safety got an interception. The quarterback portion of the throw was cut out. Nunya.
You did.
I also don't even like. I did that. I also don't even like reporting on interceptions on the quarterback side in practice because we don't know all the details of what they're running, what the goals are, what the receiver did. I'll give credit to a guy who got the interception. Like Trey Fulton got an interception today. Cool. But the overthinking from like a 1 sentence or a 6-second clip is out of control.
I also tend to think, and this is conspiracy theory for me, is there may be times when the quarterback comes back and the coach is in like, I want you to lead him a little too far. I want you to overthrow, not put the receiver in danger, but let's see what the DB does with this. It's like I always say about a pitcher, right, that's coming out of the minors that's making his debut. And he's a highly touted prospect. And the analysts will write, highly touted prospect that was number 16 on the MLB pipeline, but has a 4.91 ERA coming out of camp, or out of the farm system. How do you know that he doesn't have a 4-pitch arsenal, but he's only worked on 1 pitch this entire time? Because that's what, I mean, maybe just the breaking and then throwing a heater in and out. And so the scouting report in the minors is that this is all he's throwing. But when he comes in, he's got 3-4 pitches. it's the same type of thing. You don't know what they're doing. So when you do something like that, in terms of people in general that don't have a backstory, you just put up an interception. We saw it all the time with Derek Carr.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, bad throw, another bad throw. Had a bad camp. So.
Well, one of the notes today was AOC had the first interception of camp in 7-on-7. But the tight end stopped running. That's kind of an important note. But I don't know that most people would put that out there.
Or if a video would show that.
Yeah.
If you could show. A lot of times you can't. It might have been during the portion where you
could
can't
also,
film.
like I just said, you can change the video to look a certain way.
Right.
We've seen that happen.
Yeah.
So O-line is absolutely a major talking point for the Raiders during these August camp practices. G.J. Glaze is going to challenge at right tackle. Obviously, Trey Zoon was drafted to play potentially somewhere on that O-line. They've got other guys in the mix at right tackle. Rick Dennison was asked, he's the O-line coach, about Glaze, and he said he does have great length. He uses his arm length really well, and he said he's working really hard at it. He's made some progress. So nothing over the top and nothing hammering him. This is the other thing you got to remember. And it's interesting now at these practices, there are more people who have access. So you do have a lot of content creators, and there is, as you said, a way of watching practice. It's also practice. Yeah. So if things happen, if guys get beat, if someone suffers a minor injury, as we mentioned earlier, if there's an interception thrown or a great catch made, I personally think watching practices that the defense is generally ahead of the offense, but the offense has an advantage because you can't lay them out.
That too.
Every time you see someone get near the quarterback, they're not allowed to annihilate him. I think Max Crosby did that not annihilate, but he got on a couple quarterbacks last week to send a message. But I just think during fall camp across football, I just think it's good to tell the audience that and folks who aren't around football all the time that it's practice.
Let's not forget a couple things for Raiders fans that are listening. Number one, my suggestion is read everybody during training camp.
Yeah.
Read the Review Journal, read The Athletic, read the ESPN reporter, right? Read Ryan, read Sam, both Sams, read Adam Hill, whatever.
Paul Gutierrez.
Paul Gutierrez, well, he's a columnist for the Raiders now, so you're going to if you're a Raider fan, you should be reading the Raiders website anyway. But my point is, come the regular season, you will have gotten a feel for which person you like, which the vernacular, the sort of the language, the vocabulary, how they describe. Then when the regular season starts, just stick to that person. Don't bounce around and say, well, this person said this and that person. Just stick to one. Just stick to your who you. But for now, you want to get a feel for what everybody's saying instead of just going off this, that, or the other. The other thing to remember, to your point about how they present the videos, don't forget that there's also a cutoff time where you can't film anymore. You can only film certain portions of practice. And when regular season starts, it gets cut down even further. So, there's only certain parts that you can actually film. And on top of that, by the way, you're also limited to what you can report on social media. You can't describe plays. You can't talk about what took place. There are a lot of things. And it's not just the Raiders. That's league-wide. Everybody has their own set of rules, but they're all sort of commonality. It's very similar. They don't want you reporting, and someone's had their credential taken and their seat taken from the press room, and they weren't allowed back to practice. Why? Because they tweeted out about a trick play and how it went. This was several years ago. So it's very – don't go off of what you're reading. Just read everybody, enjoy this lead up, and know that – this is a good time for the Raiders right now, in my opinion. This is a really good time. If you've been waiting for a fresh start, it wasn't when they got here. It wasn't when Bisaccia was named coach. It wasn't when Josh McDaniel. This is a true fresh start for this organization in quite some time.
I will virtually guarantee you that if you don't follow the right people, or if you see some video that might fool you, that by week 2, if the Raiders aren't out to a humdinger of a start, based on reports, some people's reports on Mendoza in camp, there'll be cries that Mendoza should play. That's the number one. Like, the shuffling of the offensive line is going to go beneath the radar for most people, But the casuals and people outside the market, the Mendoza should play, why is Cousins playing, is going to be the number one thing. So anything short of the Raiders winning a lot and Cousins excelling are going to be cries for Mendoza to play. Which I understand it. But I also I don't know this coaching staff. I don't know what kind of – they don't have any equity yet, but I trust them in their approach. And that right now they believe that Mendoza is not ready. And I think furthermore, they looked at that schedule. Well, they said it before the schedule came out. But they looked at that schedule and they're like, okay, this kid, we've scouted this kid. He's a little more of a project than maybe some number one picks would be.
Yeah.
He is not going to play early on. But that'll every week. Flames fired up.
You and I have talked briefly. There's a good chance that you and I will be together on Mondays again this season, correct?
If I'm still here.
If we let you come back.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
If they have me for another season, we'll see.
Okay.
You never know. It's up in the air.
Well, regardless of where we're at, Monday, September 14th, around 3:14 p.m., we will be discussing that around 1:54 p.m. on Sunday, September 13th. There were calls for
Mendoza. It'll come that early.
Because the kickoff's at 1:25. Within 30 minutes of kickoff, which means 29 minutes, by 1:54, we'll see tweets.
If Mendoza shows good positives in preseason, the calls will start then. Because Cousins ain't playing, nor should he.
Well, yeah, you're right, but
he can play a quarter.
Well, yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, the
hype's going to start. But you're right. That first game when it's for real,
against the
people
Dolphins
are going to go like crazy.
Yeah.
No doubt. Baseball trade deadline yesterday. Listen, I don't want to get on my soapbox, but I will. I've been telling you the way baseball works for years and years and years, and we had another trade deadline where some teams tried. Others who are legitimately in the playoff race just kind of threw their hands up and said, nah, you know what? We're good. I don't get it.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
Super busy trade deadline around Major League Baseball. Again, disappointing in some cities. We're going to talk to a guy in Atlanta, Heath Cline, who's our SEC insider, but also follows the Braves. I know as the Braves are having a monster season, there were a lot of Braves fans who were like, hey, we got to do some stuff. We got to shore some things up. And the Braves didn't do a whole lot. Dodgers did what they always do. They didn't make a slew of moves, but they went out and got the best player available on the market. Good for the Dodgers. I'm not going to speak on this topic because I think this is like a 30-year-old topic, and about 80% of the people are now on my side. When back in the day, I was a lone wolf, and there was probably about 5% of people talking about buying championships and big market teams and big payroll teams are ruining baseball. Yeah, just the Yankees ruined it. Whatever it was from '96 to 2005, and what happened to baseball? It got richer and richer and richer. The game is bigger than it's ever been 21 years later, so nothing was ruined. But would you like to speak on the Dodgers ruining baseball? Now they're going to have a strike. Now they're going to have a lockout because of the Dodgers.
Yeah, okay. It's all the Dodgers' fault.
Yeah, like they weren't going to do that already.
This is just it's really tiring because this has been the way that it is. It's just that the cost of the dollar goes up. So the cost of it's like any other. Can you imagine what someone like Walter Payton would have been worth, or Joe Montana would have been worth when we were growing up watching these guys? Put them in today's dollars, right? So back then, you look at
not Payton, Montana.
You don't think Walter Payton would have been a top paid running back?
He'd be a top paid running back, but he'd also be 13th in line behind all the receivers.
Oh yeah.
You saw that today, right? But John Robinson signed an extension. He's making $9 million less than freaking Zay Flowers at wide receiver.
Right,
but I get your point. Like the money on Joe Montana would make $55 to $65 million.
Right, they'd be making position money.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is that so it's the same thing with baseball. It's growing and growing. Next year's lockout has been, or projected lockout has been talked about long before the Dodgers got schoolball or whatever. However you want to say. It's been a long time coming, and it happens in every sport. So the Dodgers have nothing to do with it, and I'll continue to say what I've been saying when people ask leading up to this to trade deadline this year. what do you think about this? What do you think? Well, then tell the owner of your favorite team to go out and get some money, or find a partner to invest a ton of money into the Pirates to keep Paul Skeens, or into Detroit to keep Scooball, or into whomever small market, and bring in the big dollar player, or bring in invest in it. If you can't keep up with the Joneses, and if you can't, then don't complain.
Dodgers, Red Sox, Phillies, Cubs, even the Yankees at the very end, very active. I thought did a good job. So did the Brewers. I don't know what the Tigers are doing. I guess they're just hopeless in terms of being able to sign Scooble long term. They could. And they also dealt off Casey Mize. I thought the Padres did a good job getting 2 starting pitchers. And the Padres are a good example of a team that a lot of people have written off, but they went out and they were aggressive. Red Sox are getting ripped for trading too much for Adley Rutschman. Hey, if they feel like he's a franchise catcher and they're going to have him for the next 8 to 10 years, then the price is probably worth it. And then on the flip side, I thought the Mets and the Angels did a really good job of getting rid of guys, getting some value. Go out and get players. You don't have to keep old guys or guys who aren't long-term on your team, especially when you're dreadful. Go and get some young players and prospects, especially arms. Did I mention the Guardians? Guardians, for one of the first times, I did not mention the Guardians. Guardians, for one of the first times, actually got really aggressive at the trade deadline. I thought that was really cool. That city deserves, because the Guardians are good. It's a good organization. But when they're in a position in an American League that is very wide open, go and make a run.
Well, and they have a good chance this week. I mean, it's perfect timing bringing people in, but they have a good chance this week to make a little run based on opponents, because Chicago's playing Boston. Cleveland's got an advantageous schedule right now. So
364-1100, 364-1100. Let's give away tickets to go see the Foo Fighters as they do their tour with the Queens of the Stone Age coming up on September 26th. Allegiant Stadium. You can get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. But we got a pair right now. Foo Fighters at Allegiant. James is going to hook you up. Caller 7-364-1100.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
On the trade deadline, Major League Baseball trade deadline. Cutoff was yesterday. John Browner, SoCal expert, will talk Dodgers and Padres around 4:45 today. So practices, camps continue. We talked Raiders to open the show. UNLV camp, day number 6. It's hot out there. You know that. So they're starting a little bit early. I think it was 99 when practice ended around 9:45, but they started 7:20 in the morning. Today was quarterback day. They have a number 1, a number 2 quarterback. They've got a 3 and a 4. I believe the number 1 is Jackson Arnold. I believe the number 2 is Alex Orji. Dan Mullen was quoted the other day saying it's a battle. I will also say that 6 or 7 of the Mountain West Conference coaches at Mountain West Conference Media Days, Willie, told me they have a battle on their hands as well. This is what coaches do. Mullen said there was a battle going into last season. Barry Odom said there was a battle going into the season before. Now, sometimes I'm wrong on the battle. Sometimes I'm wrong. Let's listen to Jackson Arnold as he talked here, answering a question from Alex Eshelman of ABC Local. I give credit for the questions. A lot of people work hard to do these questions. Just don't rip them. He was asked about what it's like acclimating to Vegas and UNLV.
Yeah, it's hot. These fall camps are hot. And at OU and at Auburn too, it was hot, but it was a little more humid there. But here it's just kind of a dry heat. It sneaks up on you. Turf burns a lot.
Why UNLV was the right fit for you at this point in your career?
Yeah, I had a previous relationship with Coach Dennis. And so when him and Coach Mullen reached out to me, sold me on their pitch. And, Coach Mullen has a pedigree with coaching quarterbacks at a high level, and it just really intrigued me. And they wanted to come out here and visit.
What was the previous relationship with Dennis?
Yeah, he out of high school at Ohio State, he recruited me heavy, was always on me, always persistent, which I liked, but I ultimately ended up not going there. But I liked how persistent he was, and I liked the relationship that we grew out of high school. And even last year out of the portal, he kept in contact with me. But I felt like last year wasn't the right time to join with him, and then this year when this opportunity came around, I was a lot more intrigued to hear it.
Well, when you talk to Mullen, what's the number 1 lesson he tries to kind of get through to you?
Yeah, I think for us, it's being extremely decisive in what we do. Even yesterday, we were watching film on our off day. His big message was with us was our footwork. He knows what we're going to do with the ball when our feet are in the right spot, and when we're in the right spot, he knows the plays that we're going to make, if we're going to be accurate or not.
The biggest thing is precision. It was the same lesson that he wanted to teach to Anthony Calandria a year ago, and Calandria went from a guy who in the spring was completing 49% of his passes to one during the season who was up over 68%. It worked out as the Mountain West Conference Offensive Player of the Year a year ago, and he cashed in at Nebraska. I thought this was really interesting from Alex Orji as he was asked about the guys on defense that he's got a lot of respect for right now.
Denver, I never really liked throwing at him. Mumu's one of the smarter players that, I've gone against in my career. And then up front, those guys are always getting after it. Cohen Fuller being another guy that's played a ton of football. They just fly around, and then our edges are nothing to play with. You take a drop a little too far back or don't get up in the pocket, they're going to meet you there. And our linebackers, we got 4 linebackers that can fly around and play great football. And, I love we got the Flying Hawaiians, Kamu and Blessing, and then D and Camp Sansi, who just got here. It's been great to see them fly around, and it's kind of annoying, but, I know that they're making us better for it.
So quarterback 1 and quarterback 2. Now, funny enough, last year, Mullen carried it into the opening game, and Orji actually technically started the game. He ran the first play. And Calandria was also on the field, split out. But I think it's going to be Jackson Arnold. There's been this thing building online because Dan Mullen said, hey, we got a race. That, this is an even race. I don't believe it is. But I might be wrong. I was wrong 2 years ago. I thought Malik Williams was going to be the guy over Sluka. As it turned out, I guess I was right in judging a lot of different things. But Sluka played 3 games, then went haywire. They told him to buzz off. He left, and Malik led him to a really, really good season. And last year I thought Calandria was going to be the guy, and eventually he was. And Orji never got a shot because he got hurt. He never really got a full season.
I think the biggest thing that's going to help is with Jackson Arnold is coming in with not just experience, but that confidence of coming from the SEC and the same mindset. In a sense, that SEC sort of genetic code, if you will. And he had trouble sustaining as the starter, so he's going to have a chip on his shoulder, and that's going to help. But that confidence in being able, but also keeping a humble attitude, too. You don't want to come in cocky. But I think Mullen will do a good job in reining that in. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, and keep in mind, Orji is also behind the 8 ball a little bit because he's recovering from a really serious injury. He had a knee tear, but more severely, it was a hamstring tear. So he's kind of like not relearning the game, but you got to get confidence in your leg, and then you got to get confidence in what they're running on offense. And you'll hear from Corey Dennis later, the OC, and I'll tell you what Orji said. Orji said basically something to the effect of, hey, we are going to run different things this year versus what we ran last year with Anthony Calandria.
Now back to Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, let's talk a little MMA and more importantly, at least on this timeline, Raiders, because host of the Autumn Windbags, RJ Clifford joins us every Tuesdays. He's up with Willie and Cofield. All right, RJ, you seen all the video, you seen the comments, the quarterback derby, I suppose that's the way it's going to be sold. What are you thinking so far early on in Raiders camp? We cannot hear you, my friend. If you can hear me, I know you can. So you might be muted. We'll see if we can fix that.
Me now.
There
RJ's
he is.
There he is.
Welcome to the show, RJ. Yes. Welcome to the show.
It was all the sounds of those shoulder pads and helmets clacking overshadowing my voice because it's a beautiful time, man, right? You got the Hall of Fame game coming up and the pads are on, training camp's underway. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, obviously, the biggest story, well, I guess there could be 2 big stories because Max Crosby almost getting traded was probably the story of the offseason, and then Kirk Cousins or Fernando Mendoza. How long until Mendoza gets to move from QB2 to QB1? And I know Mina Kimes came out and said, look, I think they're going to move him up. He's going to be starting a lot earlier than they're saying, talking about Fernando Mendoza, because that's what always happens. And she's not wrong. I just hope that Raider Nation will be patient. Because for me, it's less about when is Fernando Mendoza ready. It's more about when is the offense ready. The Raiders' O-line was the worst O-line in football last year by a mile. Now, obviously, losing Brendan Carroll as coach, he was terrible. Adding Tyler Linderbaum, you don't have to squint to hope and see that this O-line will be a lot better. But the last thing the Raider Nation wants is Fernando Mendoza to go out there and just get slaughtered because his receivers don't know the scheme and aren't open. His running backs running the wrong side because it's a new scheme and the O-line isn't ready. So Mark Davis listens to the fan base, and if the Raiders start 1-5 and everyone's screaming for Mendoza to go out there and he gets pummeled by the O-line, some of that responsibility lies on Raider Nation. So Raider Nation, be patient. This isn't about going 9-8 in 2026. It's about winning 3 Super Bowls in the next 15 years with Mendoza.
So, RJ, the question is, Because I think it's a catch-22, right? Like, let's say the Raiders come out and they're smoking a team, right? Or even worse, let's say they're getting smoked, and it's like, well, let's see what the kid can do. Isn't it somewhat of the concept you have to think, well, once he's in, that's it. You got to stick with him. Or is it, can you get away with playing him a quarter here, a quarter there before pulling him out? Because it's a very touchy situation when you're dealing with the overall number 1 pick.
Very much so. I'm hoping with the presence of Tom, well, not the physical presence of Tom Brady, but with the shadow, the long shadow of Tom Brady over all this, they can say he can be the trump card and the voice of reason. Because normally when you have a number 1 overall pick, it's because the team was terrible, there's a coach on the hot seat or a GM on the hot seat, and they don't have 3 years for a quarterback to develop because they're going to be fired if they don't get a winning record that season. I'm hoping with Tom Brady there, and let's say it's a lot of growing pains, it's a bad season, and the Raiders start off 1-5 or whatever, that Tom Brady can say, that's okay. We're in this for the long haul. We are developing Fernando Mendoza, again, not to get as close to 500 as possible this year, but to make him a franchise quarterback. So you're right. It's sticking points, and Raider Nation, like any other fan base, not always 100% rational, but hopefully there's some adults in the room when people start getting ticked off.
So the next question is, as far as the offensive line is concerned and the relationship with a guy like Kirk Cousins, a guy like Fernando Mendoza, right? In reality, we're watching some of these videos coming out here. A lot of overreaction to the aging of Cousins, right? There are going to be times when the offensive line is seemingly doing its job, but an aging guy like Cousins may not be able to move out of the pocket, may not be as quick, but hey, that would have been good enough for a younger guy like Mendoza. Is that a tough thing in your eyes to juggle?
I'm hoping that Kirk Cousins, and he's shown this certainly in the last few seasons, that his experience and knowing when a blitz is coming or when protection breaks down and getting that hot route and getting the ball out quickly can make up for his lack of mobility, right? Like Fernando Mendoza, I think it's pretty safe to say that if there's a rush coming, he probably is not that experienced, and he's going to use those great legs of his and his size and moves to get out of the way. Whereas Kirk Cousins will say, nope, I'm getting rid of this ball, or I've got a hot route, or I've got a certain place to go with it. So I think the mobility of Mendoza and the experience of Cousins kind of is a zero-sum game. I think either way they can get the ball out one way or the other. But that's also why I want to keep Aiden O'Connell and not trade him, because if Kirk Cousins gets hurt, don't rush Fernando Mendoza. Have a very viable QB3 with starting experience take over the reins.
How many fellow Raiders fans do you think agree with that one? AOC in front of Mendoza. Ooh. Like in week 4.
I think in week 4, I think it'll be not that too tough to stomach. Week 13, different story. Yeah. But also, Raider Nation loves Aiden O'Connell. I mean, the guy's had, 6 offensive coordinators, some of the worst coaches in football. He still has a great touchdown-to-interception ratio for the absolute mess that he's had to play under. I mean, I think there'll be people like, look, everyone is just waiting for Fernando Mendoza and the offense to be ready for that marriage to happen, right? There's not one member of Raider Nation is like, no, I think Aiden actually has a chance to beat Mendoza. But if Aiden O'Connell goes in there and plays well for a couple games to get, while Mendoza's preparing, I think Raider Nation will be happy for him.
Host of the Autumn Windbags, RJ Clifford, what are you shaking your head to?
I'm agreeing with him. No, there's people that are going to be out there saying that he deserves it. No.
Your impressions of Max so far, because clearly he came out with a mission in mind. He wanted to set a tone going 1,000 miles an hour, getting on the quarterbacks a little bit, and then said he's only going to rehash the Ravens thing one more time. I have a feeling if he gets off to a good start, he'll mention it on his podcast. But what do you think of Max so far and what he's saying?
I hope that this is what I want. I don't know exactly what happened. I can guess. I don't know exactly what happened when all the details of the Bosch trade with Baltimore. But whatever Max Crosby thinks happened, I want him to keep thinking it. I don't care what the truth is, but I want Max to think that he was wronged, he was misunderstood, he's the underdog, there's an enemy out there, and the way to get back at them is to be defensive MVP this year. That's what I want him to think. I mean, professional athletes have the most belief perseverance of any human being on earth. They will believe anything if it drives them. And so it might get annoying, right? I don't want to talk about it. Then he talks about it 100 times. But if it drives him and adds a little bit more motivation for him, keep believing whatever you think happened, Max.
RJ Clifford, Autumn Windbags podcast. Number one podcast that Raiders related is Max Crosby's. You're number 2. And then number 3 for the attention it gets is actually the Carr Brothers, whatever their podcast is called. Was Derek talking again about the past and sort of how he got separated from the Raiders?
Yeah, he mentioned on his own podcast about he didn't mention it specifically by name, but it was clearly Josh McDaniels. How Coach McDaniels said something in practice and then said something completely different in the game, and he's like, "Well, I guess that's why I'm not welcome there anymore." I think there's more to it than just that, but that was probably just oil and water. I feel like those two personalities, Josh McDaniels and Derek Carr. But honestly, that's Josh McDaniels anywhere he's been, unless he's under the Patriots, right? I mean, He just failed as a Bronco head coach, and that one year he was offensive coordinator for the Rams. They were the 32nd offense in football. I mean, that's just, this should have been more obvious, right? You look at Derek Carr, and he's gotten along with every coach he's ever had, every teammate he's ever had. I mean, he has a good relationship with Antonio Brown, for crying out loud. Like, how this guy is he doesn't rub anybody the wrong way. But him and Josh McDaniels just couldn't get it together.
Maybe he should. He's a girl dad. Maybe he should watch Frozen a little bit more and recite the song "Let It Go."
Let It Go. It's easy to say, right? But I mean, 9 years with the team. You're a professional athlete. You're worth what is he worth probably right now? $250 million.
He left. He went to the Saints. He left.
Yeah.
He's
gone.
Yeah, it's over. It's over.
So we live vicariously through the travels of RJ Clifford, who is an MMA expert, a former fighter, was a show host on SiriusXM. He's a behind-the-scenes guy around UFC. You got to tell me, just give me a couple impressions of Serbia outside the arena. And I know you don't have a lot of time when you go visit, but what is Serbia like?
Oh, it was hot this week, but, obviously it's August. Serbia has some of the most passionate sports fans I'd ever seen. Like, I thought nothing can beat London and Paris for a European MMA experience. So those fan bases are wild. But I think Serbia might be number 1. So I was researching this when I got there. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but basketball is huge in Serbia. It's their number 1 sport by far. And when there's home games against a rival, fans will line up and light road flares inside the venue, and it's just full of smoke. There's fire everywhere. It looks like the place is just literally like the fire department needs to be called. They're jumping around. They're doing their chants. Inside the Belgrade Arena, you're walking around, and you're like, why are the doors 5 inches wide and made of steel? It's because they're AK-47 and bomb-proof. Because when rival teams move around in the arena, sometimes rival fans or rival teams will just try to attack each other. So they have to board up in a bomb shelter to avoid this. I mean, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that crazy over there, but it is nuts how passionate the Serbian sports fans are. I can't wait to go back.
Yeah, they're not that far from removed from a 10-year civil war as well. So it was very much a war-torn country that is split into 9 different countries. But they love sports, and we could list all the basketball players of the past who've made it to the NBA, and they've had, frankly, if Yugoslavia stayed together, and it wasn't going to happen, but if they had a national basketball team now, my God, the team would be unbelievable. A couple updates moving forward. First of all, Conor McGregor getting surgery soon on the ACL?
He is a little... As with most things, I'm kind of quiet about it.
Okay.
He said he had a procedure done, and then there's video of him on a row machine doing there's nothing happened. I mean, clearly he's going to have the best possible medical procedures and doctors and people around him. Who knows what that process is going to be like? When he broke his leg, he was out 5 years for varying reasons, but he's 35 now, so the recovery process probably a little longer, but he says he's fighting again. He's got one more fight left on his contract, and he says he's doing it.
Yeah, but he could have the best medical team in the world. When you have a procedure to repair an apparent torn ACL, you are not in that short a time bending your knees at 90 degrees and in that fast, that motion. That it's just not happening. The only thing that possibly that you can do in that quick a time that has to do with the knee is a meniscus tear and a cleanup. Now, if it's a meniscus, if it's a meniscus cleanup is different than a meniscus repair when they go in and they actually reattach it. If they just clean it up and take it out, he could do that. That's realistically, you could do that within 4 weeks. You could do what he was doing and fight through it. So there are conspiracy theorists out there. There was a doctor out there, a surgeon, saying this is impossible. But did you see the other thing about the dry ice? And now he wants it to be called a no contest.
What was the dry ice?
He's saying that there was dry ice when the smoke, when you're walking out, caused a wet floor before the major injury, and that the steam that comes from it, everything, the condensation, and so the floor was wet.
So wait, so is he, RJ, have you seen this? Is he claiming that awkward shoe removal, that actually is when he tore his knee?
I haven't seen that. This is news to me. But look, he was asking for a no contest before he claimed that there was this like mysterious puddle that caused him to his knee to explode. So maybe just keep pulling at straws until you find one, Connor. Yeah. Right? Keep inventing. You'll find something. Maybe the commission will believe you at some point.
RJ Clifford with us, MMA expert. UFC 330 in a couple of weeks in Philly. I assume you're going. I saw your video today on Makhachev and Machado Gary, but talking about Islam's ability, as you put it, to turn failed submissions into positional wins. What are we looking for?
So I love this fight. Ian Machado Gary is a very slick Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, very good at distance control, hard to take down, hard to hold down, and very good at submissions. But Islam Makhachev has this really uncanny. Everyone compares him exactly to Khabib because they're both from Dagestan, best friends, teammates, and there's certainly similarities. But Khabib Nurmagomedov was more, I'm going to get on top of you, put my hips on you, and grind you down to a pulp, and then mercy sub you. Islam Makhachev is more of a guy that's, I'm going to take you down, I'm going to attack subs, I'm going to attack positions simultaneously. I'm going to attack a choke and take your back at the same time. You have to choose one to defend, and then I'll take the other. And he has this great, so often in mixed martial arts, like if someone shoots at me and I go for a guillotine and I pull guard, I'm on my back. If I don't get it, I'm in trouble. Islam Makhachev is the type of guy that says, I can go for submissions because I have a lifetime of Dagestani scrambling where I can get out of a bad position and keep going. Against Dustin Poirier, he went for this Kimura that Dustin almost got out of, but he ended up still taking his back. When he beat Poirier in the 5th round in the exact same fight, he got a takedown, jumped on a front headlock, went to his Darce choke instead of pulling guard. He is just so hard to get in bad positions. But Ian Machado Gary, giant underdog and rightfully so, is the type of guy that can test that.
RJ, appreciate it. I guess we'll get a recommendation next week from you. Is there any value on Machado Gary on the betting line?
I will say this.
Plus 300, plus 270.
If Islam Makhachev gets the fight to the cage and gets his wrestling going, it's game over. If Machado Gary can keep the fight at striking distance on the open canvas, I think it's a 50-50 fight. Now, that's way harder, way easier said than done. But I think Ian Machado Gary can make it a 50-50 fight if he can stay off the cage.
All right, RJ. We'll see you, buddy.
Thanks, boys.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
Here we go, 4 o'clock hour. Willie's across the way. Willie Ramirez. It's Cofield, ESPN Las Vegas, ESPN Reno. This hour is brought to you by our friends at Battleborn Injury Lawyers. Much to get to. A good spot there from the host of the Autumn Windbags. If you missed it, it'll be up with RJ Clifford. It'll be up on LV Sports Network tonight after the show. So some good Raiders talk, and also a look ahead to UFC 330 and a little speculation on Conor McGregor. It's Big 4 time.
Battleborn Injury Lawyers presents The Big 4 at 4. Number 4.
Uh-oh. I guess we're going to make this into a daily thing as we do JTTB's daily hashtag stick to sports. America's program director, our buddy JT over on Raider Nation Radio, doesn't like when we talk food, but we like talking food.
We love talking food.
I was just actually answering a tweet that I'd sent out earlier today where we were talking food with Michael Felder, who's going to be back on the show, our college football expert, who is very much a chef right there with Mark McMillan. He has an intense passion for cooking, and I tweeted back after a short trip this weekend my liquid diet, and one of the things I had put up there was the opportunity in, of all places, Denver, to get an old-style beer, which is of Midwest legend in Chicago.
Yeah.
So, but I was able to get one. It was good. I was actually at a Chicago and Nebraska bar in Denver.
Okay. How much you were down in Schaefer's?
I was down in Schaefer's in New Jersey, yes. So I did Schaefer, backed it up with an old style about 5 days later. So it's been a good beer drinking run here the last week or so. Oh, we got a national day that covers cookies.
This is a perfect time to bring up what today's national day is based on the combination of JTTB's hatred toward our talk of food, my love of national days, and coincidentally, 3 ladies that are in my TikTok live for my community, because earlier today in Riley's live, Riley, Cara, and Dia, we were all talking about chocolate chip cookies and the type of do they got to be chewy? Do they got to be which type of chocolate chip cookies it is?
What do you like?
Well,
chewy?
you got to have.
Or is this a tease to go to TikTok?
No.
Okay.
No. It's coincidental that it came up, and they're literally right here in the chat.
Yeah.
It's National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. I mean, it's hard to argue against the fresh, out of the oven, gooey chocolate chip cookies.
I don't like them that hot.
Well,
but I do like chewy, but I also...
You're kind of strange.
I'm a cookie-aholic, so I'll go with the crunchy ones, too.
Cookie-aholic.
Why not? I got to tie this to something else.
Okay.
There's not many issues with myself and the SO, the significant other.
Uh-oh.
But one of the things that I think she loves to do because she knows how frugal and cheap I am, no one I know loves to buy food and drink at airports. She loves it.
I don't mind it. It's pricey.
Exactly. She has to get a beer.
Oh, no.
So we were flying back from Denver and got a couple of beers. And I crap you not, I'm so conditioned to the beating that you take at airport bars that the guy came over, the bartender, and he's like, it's $23.90. And I'm like, not bad for 2 beers. So I'm like, after tip, I tip exorbitantly, so I think I left like a $10 tip. So I didn't leave that much, but you get the point. But she loves it. But here, on top of that, even better, we get off the plane in Vegas. She's like, you know what? I want a sweet. I want to get a cookie. And I'm like,
you're home.
No, not in the airport. I'm like, we can go to a convenience store on the way home. She's like, they're not going to have the right kind. Then, like, out of nowhere, like, the heavens opened up and dropped a cake machine. You've seen these around Vegas. There's a couple of different cake companies, bakeries. Mm-hmm. They have fresh cake in a machine. And I look up and I'm like, it's $11 a slice of cake. I'm like, can we just stop off
You
somewhere?
mean like an actual vending machine? Where
yes. Yeah. Yep.
No.
There's cake.
No.
There's cake. She
I
wanted
fresh.
$11. She wanted it.
Fresh.
And then I battled her, and she's like, "All right, forget it. I don't want it." I'm like, "Relax." Then, of course, on the way home, I stopped somewhere I know, and I was like, "Here's some good sweets," and we're contributing to a local business, so take it easy, right?
I will say the last trip that I took.
Don't be a gagoots.
The gagoots. The last trip that I took, which has been a minute now, when I went to Nashville. I think coming back, I got to the airport early, and the Nashville airport, I hung out in a place in the airport, and it actually wasn't, I think I had a glass of wine, I had a meal. It was Nashville, because going home, it was delayed, and we ended up getting a flight canceled out of Atlanta.
It's a lot of details.
I'm trying to think of it because I'm trying to make sure. Well, because I was trying to think.
No one knows. You don't need accuracy. What's the story? Come on.
It wasn't pricey.
Really?
Yeah.
That's shocking.
I know. It wasn't. That's why I wanted to make sure the city was correct. It was Nashville's airport that it was very reasonably priced.
Number 3.
Well, I'm start flying with you, and we're going to go to Nashville together, so you get whatever you want.
No, I don't want to hang out with you.
Yeah, just stop. Hall of Fame game's just 2 days away. Yeah, football! Here's the great thing. I'm actually excited for this quarterback matchup. Starting the game on the side of the Panthers is Kenny Pickett, and on the side, my guy. I am an absolute Carson Beck stan, and I hope he gets a lot of playing time for the Cardinals. And, in fact, I actually think it's going to benefit the Cardinals. I don't really understand. I mean, he's a nice guy, and he deserves to get his money. But I really don't understand why the Cards broke down with Jacoby Brissett and gave him a decent contract. Like, if he didn't want to play or walk, like, what's the difference? Do they want to win this year? And I hate to have 5 teams in the NFL where you're like, you need to lose to get your quarterback. But, yeah, it's going to be Carson Beck and Kenny Pickett in the Hall of Fame game starting.
Well, wait a minute. Let's reverse. Who are you going to? Who are you going to go? You go out and get somebody else?
No, just play young guys. Play Carson Beck.
Just tank it.
Yes.
They got Gardner Minshew. They got Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew, Carson Beck, and Kedon Slovis. Carson Beck gets the start.
Yeah. Kedon Slovis from Colorado. He transferred and did not work out.
Well,
but Carson Beck is going to play, and Carson Beck's
he's going to sling it.
Highly debated player because he's a guy who's got a weird personality. He was dating who are those twins? The 2 twins that bounced
Cavender
around
twins.
He dated one of the Cavender twins, and then she turned on him. And he doesn't. He seems to be. He seems to be along the lines of a Josh Rosen. I was going to take shots at both of them, but there's no reason for that. Josh Rosen didn't seem to have a whole lot of passion to kind of break through in the NFL. I think he grew up wealthy. And Carson Beck has made some money. Yeah. And Carson Beck has said some weird things about playing football. And he's also, from multiple accounts, he's a guy who has a little trouble kind of connecting with the guys because his personality is a little bit different. Number 2.
Number 2.
Well, you know what? I didn't even mean to do that, but that's a hell of a segue. He has a little trouble with his personality connecting with guys. Now, this guy connects with some guys. Aaron Rodgers made an appearance. He's back with the Steelers. He was on McAfee's show
again,
and he made a statement about Fauci and COVID. If you guys want to relitigate that, I saw that all over social media. Go ahead and do it. But he mentioned Diana Rossini, which I got to tell you, if you're going to be, hey, I'm going to say wild stuff on the air, then say Rossini's name and say Vrabel's name.
That we're doing. Like, you have literally an individual that maybe used to work at ESPN that covers our league at the highest level, and there's a major scandal, and it's just like nobody can talk about it? What are we even doing
personal
here?
lives are personal lives. I feel like you of all people should know that.
I understand, but if it's affecting certain things, if there's leaks going on, if there's tampering going on, if that person is also an MVP voter and a Coach of the Year voter, that's real life. Like, how are we allowing these people to have an impact?
Okay, wait a minute. I'm sorry to do this. I'm going to tell you how far, and then it's going to be just the first 7 seconds. Replay it from the start and wait for my cut. Go.
That we're doing. Like, you have literally an individual that maybe used to work at ESPN that covers our league at the highest level, and there's a major scandal, and it's just like nobody can talk about it? What are we
right there?
Doing here?
You just nailed it. There's this, and nobody can talk about it. Well, you're talking about, but you won't name the player. So it's the same. It's you're complaining that nobody's talking about, but you're not naming the people. I mean, I know you said that leading in, but it's just funny how he worded that.
Fake tough guys who want to dance around a topic, and I think being a smartass and not mentioning the names is a better way to do it.
But you're calling about other people.
Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel, please throw your sack on the table and especially mention Mike Vrabel because no one else will. You're right. We should be talking about this now, not as much as some of the, crackpot investigative reporters online, but if there's legit concern about voting for MVP, voting for Coach of the Year, if that affects people financially, affects future deals, sure, let's talk about it.
There's specific.
But by the way, who's he mad at? The media? Go after the NFL. How about the other name? The other name to mention? Hey, Raj. Looking at fake cameras. Yeah. Roger Goodell. I mean, what does Aaron Rodgers have to lose at this point? You're right. And
he's on his way out.
And if you think it's such a big deal, I'd court questions at every friggin' almost every media opportunity. Hey, I got this issue to talk about. I need questions on Rossini and Vrabel. Mention them by name, tough guy.
There's specifics with this relationship, affair, whatever. There's specifics that can be discussed. There's other specifics that have no relevance to anything. The problem is they all tie in and relate back to certain, so you have no choice. But specifically, you're right. The Coach of the Year, being an AP Awards voter, anything that can affect a contract, a team. It was talked about leaking secrets or when you're all that sort of stuff. That's why it's mentionable. Outside of that, their relationship. He wants to be an adulterer, be an adulterer. She wants to cheat on her husband, then that's their business. It's none of ours. The problem is how it affects everything in terms of if she was covering the NBA, this would be a non-issue.
By the way, I'm all for a deep dive by someone on Aaron Rodgers' relationships over the years. I think that would be wild, and I'm not sure that he'd want that. I'm not alleging anything, but no, I don't think anyone wants that. Number one.
Number one.
So, Willie, you got to explain to me the crazy internet fervor for Tony Romo and getting this guy fired at CBS. Put aside, first of all, innocent until proven guilty, and watch what happens with the charges here. It doesn't mean he's not guilty if he gets off with nothing. He's going to get off with nothing because this is the way it works. Mm-hmm. Does Tony Romo suck on TV? Is he a jerk? Is that why so many people are going after him? Are people just jealous, like media reporters who report on fellow, broadcast people because they're not broadcasters? What is the rush all over the internet to get him fired? Is Romo terrible? Is he a bad guy?
No. I just think that there are just people that wait in the bushes. They're lurking and waiting for anything to jump on, and I don't think it's Tony Romo itself. Like, for instance, you're going to get the Cowboys haters that all of a sudden they may not even pay attention. Or they may have hated the Cowboys for years, and if he's calling the game, they never even listened. They just read what everybody else tweets or says, people that got tired of him predicting plays as an announcer, or whatever it may be. I think just people love to hate these days. They're keyboard warriors. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you've ever seen this player play or that announcer announce this. When you have a chance to pounce on your keyboard, this is what they do.
15 seconds, because I would like to ask everyone who thinks Romo stinks on TV, who's good? Who's good? Or does everyone suck?
No, they don't all suck.
Who's a good TV analyst who calls NFL games?
We'll have to do it on the way back.
I think Collinsworth is good. I think Greg Olson's okay. I'll tell you, the guy they're rumoring to replace Romo, J.J. Watt, let's see how likable he is when you have to see him on the national platform.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
All right, every Tuesday we get a chance to talk to Ray Kluever from William Hill Sportsbooks. Willie's here at Cofield. Ray, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, how you guys doing today?
We are good. We were just talking about weird stuff going on the internet and the phenomenon of trying to get Tony Romo fired. I just wanted your opinion, because you're a TV sports viewer like we are, and put aside whatever happens with his charges, that's a whole different part of it. There seems to be this internet community that hates Tony Romo. Am I missing something? Is he that bad? Is he a jerk? Is he unlikable? I don't get it.
No, but I believe there's a lot of people who don't like the commentators on NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, wherever they're doing an NFL game. They don't like them because they don't just praise their home team. And I think the internet is part of that. On, let's just say X. People just go out and bash that color guy because he complimented the other team against their team. They love their homers. They love their hometown team radio and TV guys. And when they don't get them, Collinsworth is, no other way to put it, he is absolutely outstanding.
Okay.
But people just don't like him. He voices opinions. All these color guys are just, it's the new guy they don't like. The veteran guys, John Madden even got criticized when he was there. He didn't become real popular until it was near the end of his career.
Yep, you're so right. Yep, John Madden wouldn't get smashed today, especially, here's the other problem, not by everybody, because he'd still have a legion of fans. The worst thing to happen to these the biggest name broadcasters is for their yearly salary and contracts to go public, Because now when people hear
Absolutely.
that, they view them as like baseball players or athletes, and are like, $18 million here, Romo, I can do that. No, you can't.
Sports fans just don't like success unless it's theirs. I mean, I'm not going to try and praise the Dodgers, but everybody's pissed that the Dodgers went out and got Skubal and everybody else. The problem is, what if it was your team? Wouldn't you be excited?
Of course.
I mean, I'm a Milwaukee Brewer fan. I'm absolutely devastated that they did nothing during the trade deadline to improve their team. And I wish that people were bitching about the Brewers because they got Skubal and they went out and got players and made themselves World Series favorite, to say the least.
Let's stick with baseball. Ray Kluever's with us, William Hill, because we want some reaction off of what happened with the trade deadline. I don't think odds are going to change that much, but I do want to deep dive on the Brewers because with the price the Dodgers paid to get Skubal, the Brewers arguably, I don't even think it's an argument, Brewers have a better farm system. Even if it was for a rent-a-player, they could have spent the prospects and matched or beaten the Dodgers. Why didn't they?
Okay, here's my feeling on the Milwaukee Brewers. Similar to the Green Bay Packers. They know that if they're always good, they're going to stay popular. So they don't have to win it all. They just need to stay good. I've always said they're always good in Wisconsin, but they're never great. The Badgers, the Packers, now the Badgers have been down a couple years, but for years they were a 7, 8, 9, 10-win team every year in college football. The Brewers, as long as they win 85 to 95 games every year, they'll sell out Miller Field, and I'm still going to call it Miller Field. It doesn't matter. The Packers, number one in jersey sales, number one in season ticket waiting list. They're going to sell it out no matter what, as long as they're just average to good. So these teams, I swear, I guarantee you, they had meetings in Milwaukee on the Brewers and said, you know what, we don't want to give up these prospects. They're going to fill the spots, and we don't have to pay the Mizorowskis of the world. Willie Adames goes to San Fran. Look at what happened. They just find somebody to fill the spot, so they're still good, just not great.
Rick Kluever, William Hill is with us. All right, tell us what's going on in terms of betting options for MLB best and worst records.
Well, it's kind of cool right now. We have the best and worst records up there, and I mean it's kind of fun in the fact that who's going to have the best record? Yeah, the Dodgers, but they're minus $3. Do you want to take a shot on the Brewers, the Braves? Maybe a long shot like the Cubs, who did what I thought the Brewers should have done, went out and improved their team drastically. But you can get the Cubs at 40-1 for the best record. Well, they're only about 6 games out of that best record. Is it worth a shot? And I mean, the worst you got, and I'm talking the worst of the worst, the Angels, the Rockies, the Athletics. The Giants look like they just cashed it in over the trade deadline, getting rid of everybody. And you can get the Giants for the worst record. Similar situation to the Cubs and the best. Giants are about 6 games to 7 games out of the worst record. You can get them at 26-1. Just a real scenario of, what do you think? Throw a little piece of money, $10, $15, maybe you get a football bankroll started.
Right. It's been a couple of decades since the AFC South has shown any sort of promise and even threatened the Super Bowl picture, if you will. This year, there are 3 legitimate teams that odds say that they don't, but in reality, when you look at the investment in quarterbacks and the sidelines with the coaches, the Texans, the Jaguars, the Titans, and then you have the Colts in their situation. Could this be the year of the AFC South where they finally make some noise?
Well, in the AFC, I think you got a shot if you're in the AFC. I mean, the NFC is so loaded that the AFC is going to be up for grabs. I'm not eliminating like Kansas City or Buffalo or throwing in the towel on them yet. But the Texans, I mean, it's all dependent on C.J. Stroud. It just is. Their defense is as good as anybody in the NFL right now. My pick for the division would be the Jaguars. I think they're going to be a much more improved team. Second year of Liam Cohen. I saw things so much better later in the year. When they got Jacoby Myers, I mean, let's face it, their offense turned around drastically. I don't have the Colts as a legitimate contender. The Titans, 2-3 years from now, could be the team. They were doing everything right to get the right players around Cam Ward. They went out and got a coach in Saleh who I think did a better job in New York than people give him credit for. And Daboll is an offensive guy. He's the offensive coordinator now. Cam Ward's got the backing. Now he's just got to go out and prove it. I don't think this is the year for him, but I do like Tennessee long term.
I wrote a story for Ball is Life for their betting site on the Super Bowl odds. The favorites are the Rams and the Bills. The sleepers I included were the Lions and the Bengals. The long shot for me was the Giants, plus 7,000 or 700 to 1. And then, but I predicted the Bills to finally bring a trophy to Orchard Park. Where are you seeing action on the Super Bowl, and what are your thoughts on the futures?
Well, if you ask the betting public, the Super Bowl's already ended, and the Rams have already taken home the trophy.
I'll book that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we're booking it every day, many, many times a day. Rams-Dodgers parlays seem to be pretty hot and popular. So, I mean, it's like better than a savings account. Just bet the Dodgers and Rams, and you've got a winning ticket. So, I mean, I can't play the Rams at the low number that they're at, and nothing's guaranteed. You're betting on a 39-year-old quarterback with a bad back, with shoulder issues in the past. You just don't know. And based on what I've seen of Ty Simpson at training camp, I don't think I am too excited about their future with him at quarterback. So we're just seeing a lot of action on a lot of the Rams, Seattle. San Fran will always get, because we have the Reno area where it's close to San Fran, a lot of Niner fans in northern Nevada, so you're going to get a lot of action on them. But it's mainly that. Chicago people bet the Bears. The Lions are taking a lot. The Lions, in fact, would be a top play for me. I do think they're going to be better. And last year, if anything, proved that the easier schedule does usually pay benefits, and they have the easiest schedule in the NFL this year.
Ray Kluever with us. Ray, we got a minute left. What's going on for the Hall of Fame game? Less than roughly 48 hours away. What are we looking at for the markets?
Well, it used to be the Hall of Fame. You put up a side and a total, and that was about it. Things have changed at William Hill. We got over 53 markets up right now on the Hall of Fame game compared to MGM having 3. And I'm not trying to bash MGM. I'm just trying to compare it. It is absolutely incredible what our football staff and what we've all done to put up as many markets as possible on the Hall of Fame game, which is, who knows? You know, I can say it this way. You're going to see all the backups and people who will be asking paper or plastic very soon playing, and yet we'll all be watching.
Carson Beck, baby. All right, Ray, we'll talk to you soon. Good spot, man.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day, okay?
There he is, Ray Kluever, William Hill. This season, it's your turn to play like a pro with William Hill in the Pro Pick'em Football Contest. No spreads, no guesswork. Just pick the winners. Take your shot at a share of over $1.2 million in cash prizes. For just $25, you're instantly in the game. You compete every week for a share of $10,000 in weekly prizes. And if you dominate with 215 wins, you can score a $1 million cash bonus. So get in. The contest is open. Register. Lock in those picks before kickoff on Sunday, September 13th. For more details, find a location near you for the sign-up. WilliamHill.us. 45 seconds left here, Willie. Giants? New York, what? How, what?
Last year there was a coach who came in with experience, second-year quarterback, decent wideout, took him to the Super Bowl.
We might have some more dinner bets on the way. I have to find some teams, though, that'll titillate you.
Vrabel, Drake May, maybe Harbaugh, Jackson Dart, a healthy Scattaboo, Malik Neighbors, if healthy, Abdul Carter on the other side.
I'd like to see a head-to-head number for Harbaugh's Giants and Harbaugh's former team in the Ravens and see what the – I mean, I guess we could just look at the win total and see what the difference is.
Ooh.
But you're very high on the New York Giants.
As a long shot, why not?
if we're looking for long shots, I suppose there's upside.
Sure.
And the NFL does provide the opportunity to shoot to the moon.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
Time for the A's Spotlight here on this Tuesday. A's right now, bottom 4, 1-0. JT Ginn out to a good start. They're at the Reds. Reds didn't exactly make a run at making the playoffs. I still think they can. They were not super aggressive on the trade deadline, nor were the A's. We'll get to what the A's did with Colby Thomas, but A's come into this now 22 under 500. Reds are 5 under 500, and A's get more injury news. Nick Kurtz goes on the IL about 2 hours ago.
Insane.
It's completely ridiculous.
It's off the
listen,
rails.
they were trying to make a run at maybe going 500, probably in the upper 70s. Maybe they could break through, win 83 games, but they're just not healthy, and their pitching has failed badly. But now they're not even a great hitting team. And Kurtz clearly has had something wrong with him for a while, and he keeps getting dinged up. I mean, his numbers just haven't been there. But rough break, and you got a series here where the Reds are going to make one last run and see if they can get back into it.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I mean, you have a team that's checked out, 5-game skid coming in. They've lost 29 of 36. The latest update, I always give the pitching stats during this 36-game span. Staff ERA of 6.50 ERA. And in that time, 65 home runs, almost 2 every game, 1 every 4.8 innings based on the innings pitched. So not exactly what you want. Also, during the losing stretch, they're allowing teams to hit 283. So when you're facing a team that's last in the National League Central, but only 6 games out of the wild card race, it can be troublesome. The Reds came into this series winners 8 out of 12. They won 4 of the first 7 during this current homestand, and the Reds were 23-16 against the American League this season. So this game, even though the A's are up 1-0, don't trust it one bit. They still could obviously choke.
JT Ginn, 3 1/3, 2 hits, couple of Ks, a walk. Again, bottom 4, 1 out. A's are leading 1-0. Meanwhile, the Reds, who could have added, although I think they also look at it like, hey, we're finally starting to get some guys healthy. Like if Hunter Green can stay healthy, that's a big addition here the last couple of weeks. Chase Burns has been amazing. I think a lot of people thought, hey, if you're going to bail, then trade guys like Brady Singer. But they wound up moving on Nathaniel Lowe over to the Guardians, and they traded former Dodger Caleb Ferguson, so they did not add. If I were a Reds fan, I would start to get frustrated at some point. Well, the Guardians are a better organization. And as I said earlier, the Guardians actually made some moves, some bold moves. How annoying is that, too, that the Reds are trading in-state with Cleveland?
And they just came out of a series with the by the way. Yeah, I mean, the Reds are one of those teams. They're kind of like the Pirates, right? Where you have the fans every year have so much hope because you have a talented pitcher, you may have a talented hitter, and they show life early on, April or May, whatever it may be, and then they just fall apart. They disappoint you, and they're right on the cusp, possibly too. And that NL Central's been competitive. Like I said, the Reds are in last place. They're 6 games out of the wild card race. All they got to do is make a run here in August.
With this lockout that's coming up, we know that the big mouths who won't spend money at the bottom of baseball are going to win out. I don't know why the money owners don't flex their muscle and go, no. We're not shutting the game down for a year. We're making money hand over fist. How about this, guys? If you can't afford to field a $150 million payroll, then do what John Fisher's doing. Mark Cuban is now part of the John Fisher Group. Channel Park and an Asian group is now part of the John Fisher Group. Sell off part of the team, both Pittsburgh and Cincy. If you can't afford to play with the billionaires, then get more investors. Spend money to make money. It's always this mission of baseball to kiss the ass of these owners who don't care.
Wasn't it the Reds owner
yes.
a couple of years ago that was talking smack about the fans?
Yeah. It was like, oh, what else are you going to do? I don't know, not come. We don't have to go to baseball games. And he's really, really arrogant. And is that family Are they billionaires? No. Are they worth $800 million? Yes. Are they going to make hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions when they sell a team? Of course.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
Each week we check in with the experts at Sporting Tribune, covering Vegas and Hawaii and SoCal. And John Browner is one of those guys who does Sporting Trib today. Joins us every Tuesday. Big John, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I am in a good mood around Major League Baseball when teams try. I'm a psycho, so I like sports so much that it affects my mood. I actually liked what the Padres did. They were one of about 7 or 8 teams that said, you know what, we're going to get help. We're going to reward the fans for showing up in a season that may not have gone the way we wanted to this point. What are your feelings? Did you like what the Padres did?
I thought that was the best that they could do with the situation that presented itself. I thought that the letdown of the season has been the hitting over right before the All-Star break. The tease happened to where they win 8 out of the last 10. They're actually the guys who they paid $300 and $200 million are actually getting hits. They're starting to supply some power. So you find the thing that you had the hole in the most was the pitching. I thought A.J. Preller did the best that he could with what he had and what was available out there. I think Casey Mize having the best career of his year, the best year of his career, and 16 starts with the Giants this year. I thought that was one of the best guys available. So I thought they did a great job with what was available. I think with what they have now, if they get in, if they can find their rhythm offensively with what they have now and get in, I think I think they're a threat. I know the Dodgers getting what they got made everybody, run for the hills if they hadn't already. But I think, again, if you get in, anything is possible. Like the Blue Jays had them on the ropes last year. And so you got to get in to compete against them. And I think the Padres gave themselves another fighting chance by doing that.
Yeah, they get Mize from the Tigers. They get Robbie Ray, who certainly knows the division, from the Giants. So I think I'm not going to say that I'd rather have 2 pitchers than Skubal. Skubal would have been a very good addition, but he's a rented player. So I like what the Pods did there. And I think you hit on something. Could they go out and trade for hitting? I suppose they could. But how about the guys they're paying actually hit? And they're starting to pick it up a little bit. And they're also, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, they're dealing from a position of weakness because you're selling low and really desperate with Bogarts and with Manny Machado. And if the ask was, hey, we want Mason Miller in the deal, I don't know if that's the best thing for the future of the organization.
When you got a guy like Mason Miller under control till 2029,
yep.
You're going to have to take every inch of one of these contracts. I'm not paying for any of it because I'm going to give you an automatic win in the 9th inning because that's what Mason Miller has been for the Padres. He's been an automatic win. So if I'm going to now give that up for my organization for the next 3 years, you got to take all this money. And the bill is so high on that dinner, no one wants any part of that, man.
I love the city of San Diego. I love visiting. I think they do a pretty good job on the sports talk front. You're great. I will say, though, that because of the rivalry, they do have some of the whinier fans in baseball. So I can only imagine how loud the howl has been the last couple of days on Skubal to the Dodgers. Where do you sit on this one?
I can't cover for people here, man. The whining is miserable. It really is, man. Look, this is where I stand. You cannot blame the Dodgers for doing good business. The Padres saw Skubal as a rental player who they didn't think financially they could re-sign here because of what he's going to command if he doesn't blow his arm out, by the way, pushing for a World Series for the Dodgers. So whether it's for the Padres, for the Dodgers, for Milwaukee, or for the Yankees, whomever he would have gone to, you're going to now have to be able to lose prospects and re-sign him. Now, there's only a few teams who are cutting $300 million checks for this type of guy in the offseason, and the Dodgers are one. So if you can get him in-house for the prospects that they got him for that anybody could have gave away, I don't really see why anybody else is mad about this. If you truly think that you have a shot at him, bring your debit card to the negotiating table. He's going to the highest bidder. He's a Scott Boras client. He's going to the highest bidder. Those guys don't take deals. So if you're mad about this, get your revenge in the open market.
On this show, and I'll start with Willie first, would we all put a decent amount of money on a Dodgers World Series bet? Because I wouldn't.
I wouldn't put anything in baseball because I think it's one of the more shakier. When it comes to the big favorite, the number one favorite, I just wouldn't do it.
John, what would you do?
100% my money's on the Dodgers.
Yeah, there you go.
100% my money's on the Dodgers. They've got too much and everybody else is too weak. It's not necessarily that they're so strong because they do have flaws. But if you remember, they had all these same flaws last year. They had guys who weren't able to pitch until pretty much a month before the postseason. Now we're here again. Ohtani hasn't pitched in a couple of weeks. He won't be pitching for another couple of weeks. What they have the luxury of is resting guys because there's no one in the division to challenge them. They're under zero pressure to succeed during the regular season because they run away with the division most of the time. And so they can play this game of whack-a-mole with, okay, you can miss a month. You can miss a month. Freddie Freeman can have a slow start. Mookie Betts can have a slow start or a slow middle of the season. But when it's time for all these guys to show up, then here's Max Muncy getting clutch hits. Now all of a sudden, you paid all this money for this guy in the offseason. Now here he comes around, and he's getting hits. So they did this last year where they had all these struggles going into the playoffs, and then all of a sudden, a week out, a month out, they start to round into shape, and then they find a way to win at the end. So my money's on them until you beat them. Because, again, the Blue Jays had them down. The Blue Jays had their foot on their throat, but they couldn't put them away, and that's what you got to do to a champion.
My pushback is that the fact that they had adversity last year and pushed through it, whereas this year there really isn't. Have they had some lulls? Like right now, they're suffering a 4-game losing streak. Yet they're 15 games above 500 on the road. They have 145 run differential. Their expected wins losses 71-42, and they're 33-27 against teams above 500. Yet they're really not facing adversity. Where a team like Milwaukee is playing in a tough division, a team like the Braves have suffered through it and they're battling with the Phillies, they're going to go against battle-tested teams. So when it comes time to face the battle-tested teams, I like the chances of a higher-priced future bet against a team that's had to struggle through some adversity going against the Dodgers that hasn't really faced a tough test in the NL West.
Yeah, John.
Again, I'm a Padre guy. I don't want to stand here like I'm waving the Dodger blue. But let me tell you this: they did that against Milwaukee last year, if you remember correctly. They all this same energy, Milwaukee's playing against tested teams, and then they saw the blue come in and they pissed out their legs for an easier way to explain it. All this happened last year. All these teams had faced competition. All these guys had won their division. All these guys were geared and ready to face the Dodgers. And then the Dodgers showed up. And everybody tucked their tail, with the exception of Toronto, who just couldn't finish the job. So I'm not buying any of these teams, none of them, because I've seen this movie before, and it always ends. Well, the last two times, the sequel is going to be no different than the other two. Thanos will show up, and at the end of the day, the snap will get rid of all these other things.
William Hill numbers in the teams in the National League to win the World Series: Cubs 18-1, Phillies 18-1, then Braves are 10-1, Brewers 9-1, Dodgers plus 150. I think there's a lot of competition there, but we will discuss this.
Easy money.
The season moves along.
Money.
Easy money, according to John Browner from the Sporting Tribune. Okay, what do you think of Willie? You wanted to jump in?
No, I was just going to say for the record, so we know.
Yeah,
I'm a Dodgers fan. So I'm just letting that out there. Okay. that I'm sitting here saying I'm a Dodgers fan, so I'm not ready to just lay all the money on my favorite team. But go ahead,
John. Your thoughts on Klay Thompson closing out his career potentially with the Lakers?
Don't like it. Hate it, actually, if I'm being 100% honest.
I'm with you.
I hate it with everything I got, man. If you're going to close out, go back to the Warriors and close out. Whatever you have to patch up with them, whether his beef was with Bob Myers for not figuring out a way to keep him, whatever his beef was with Steve Kerr and not speaking up for him, or fix that and go where you're wanted, man. Don't go where you're tolerated. Go where you're celebrated.
Yes.
Go back to Golden State. Take a bench role. Come in. Make a couple buckets. Have everybody love you. Take a little less money because you'll be getting your money from Dallas. He is too dark-skinned to play for the Lakers now. He's too dark.
He's actually perfect, isn't he? For the Snowtime Lakers.
He got a little more melanin than the Snowtime Lakers. He don't pass the test.
Oh my!
I was going to say that's probably the first time in his life he's gotten that one.
So what you're saying he's not invited to that barbecue.
That coleslaw cookout, he not invited.
That raisin in the potato salad cookout is a no-go.
He can't go to that dry turkey celebration.
John Browner's with us. Sporting Tribune today, you can see it Sunday to Thursday. I don't know if you guys have actually done much comparing of the Chargers and the Rams. My Lord, people are high in the Rams. Funny thing is the win total for the year, there's a lean on the Rams win total, but the difference between the teams is Rams 11.5, Chargers 10.5. Is there a chance that the Chargers have a better regular season than the Rams?
Mm-mm.
No, when Aaron Donald shows up, all this will be fine. All this will go away when Aaron Donald, because he will show up. All this is going to go away, and it's going to be a tidal wave. It's going to be a tidal wave of money coming in if they find a way to pull Vita Vea out of Tampa Bay. Because this is what they do. This is what the Rams do. They're like the Dodgers. Somehow they can finagle the cap, and they seem smarter than everyone else.
Are we discounting Seattle? Was it a flash in the pan a year ago? Their win total's 10.5.
Do you trust Sam Darnold?
I don't, but I also
there you go.
But I don't trust Matt Stafford to stay upright the entire season.
Well, when the other team's quarterback is on his back half the time because you're running from Myles Garrett or you're running from Aaron Donald or you're running from one of these other young guys they have on the defensive line with these corners now rebuilt. Again, Seattle lost most of their secondary due to free agency because that's how the NFL works. So I just think that the champion's not going to repeat because I don't trust Sam Darnold. They were hiding his abilities. And he had a couple of good games, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, that was more about coaching and defense than it was about Sam Darnold. And so I just don't see that happening again.
Niners also 10.5 win total. I am fading the Niners. I don't like what they've done this offseason. I certainly don't like the fact that they're saddled with the nonsense of Ayuk. I guess Debo, maybe, if healthy, can be a contributor. Are any of us high on the Niners?
Their coach can't drive a car. Their training staff can't stop people from getting hurt. Ricky Pearsall apparently is falling apart. Brandon Ayuk hates everything about Sarah. I don't know what people think is good about them. Like, at some point, you can't coach your way out of everything. Once guys get hurt, and they do, and they already are, including the coach, the team nosedives. So I don't see them doing much. I think this is the year that they fall back.
I think it's a reputation deal. I think the expectation is, hey, they've been good. They're always good. But you're right. I think at some point there's a breaking point between age and injuries. And you know, by the way, I was going to mention real quick though before you go that, and I want you to say what you're going to say, but like Kyle Shanahan, there's no guarantee that he is right for the regular season. Like that, this whole thing doesn't linger a little bit.
Oh, something's not right about this, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Time will tell, because it always does. But my question to you guys is, I feel the same way about the Chiefs. Like, have you seen Patrick Mahomes? Are they really going to let him play week 1?
I don't believe that's going to happen. I don't think he's going to play from the get-go. I think they're playing a game right now. I don't think Daniel Jones will play from the get-go.
Yeah, see, I think the start of the NFL season is going to be crazy. I think there's going to be a lot of losses where they're not supposed to be.
Yep.
And there's going to be a lot of wins where they aren't supposed to be. Because I think there's going to be some recovery time for a lot of these injured guys.
John, you're the best. When's the next time you're going to be out and about live in San Diego?
That's a great question.
We are bowling alley.
We're working on a celebration of life for Billy Ray Smith, who is a great Charger legend and was a great on-air guy for Scott and BR here locally. So on the 10th, here next Monday in San Diego, we're going to do a celebration of life for him. So that's the next time you'll see me live.
Very important close. Thank you, John.
Live from the Finley Toyota studio, you're listening to ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, starting off the 5 o'clock hour here on ESPN Las Vegas. Remember, 4 o'clock hour every day is brought to you by Battleborn Injury Lawyers. 766-1400 is a call from anywhere in the state of Nevada. Number 766-1400 for Battleborn Injury Lawyers with Matt Hoffman, Dustin Watkins, and an awesome team right here in Las Vegas with 4 offices and an office in Reno as well. Hometown A's are up 3-0.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
What?
2 runs driven in the 5th by Wilson. who is very much playing through injuries that have ailed him for most of the season, but Jacob Wilson is back. So he's driven in 2. Jeff McNeil, who oddly enough is still around. That was kind of a weird one with the A's. We'll get to the A's lack of moves with the trade deadline. I know some A's fans wanted to get rid of some of the older guys, and McNeil would seem to be decent draft capital. So again, 3-0 on the road against Cincinnati. We'll get 2 more A's here in about 5 minutes. Raiders news coming up. Conversation exclusive. I had a chance to talk to Corey Dennis about Jackson Arnold and Alex Orji a little bit, and the offense. Corey Dennis is the OC for UNLV football. In the WNBA, big deal with Kelsey Plum. Boy, I saw a lot of videos of Phoenix personnel and legends, and people in Phoenix love Kelsey Plum. What's going on there? What's the connection?
I think a lot of it is that they obviously everybody knows who Kelsey Plum is, but I think there's a big comparison of her to Diana Taurasi. Her style of play, same position, the relationship that they had, the conversations that Plum has had on podcast about, her welcome to the WNBA moments, and then when Taurasi and Bird did their women's Final Four shows on the Final Four and then championship night, Plum would be a frequent guest. And I just think, and she even talked about it yesterday in her introductory press conference before the game against the Chicago Sky, how Taurasi texted her and said, hey, there's really nobody else that I would, like to see come and da-da-da-da, and sort of carry the torch, I think, is that the right word? Taurasi being a couple years out of retirement, but I mean, in a sense, there's a similar style and there's a similar personality in what she brings to the Mercury. So that feistiness, bit of a physicality, but aggressive without being a I don't want to use the word dirty because I don't know, a lot of people sort of tend to use that phrase over, but she's a hardcore old school player. She grew up with brothers. And dad, the sports-minded dad in raising them, and so her brothers always roughed her up. So that's just the mentality she has. And
why isn't Phoenix good?
That is
Copper's been great.
That's the mystery.
They've got the big bully in Alyssa Thomas. Bonner's a solid player. What have they been missing?
I really hate to put it on Nate Tibbetts.
They made the finals last year.
I know, and I just think that. I think Nate Tibbetts has been outcoached at times. He's a good coach, but I just think that he's there's something missing in terms of the explosiveness. I think that they're trying to bully their way through teams instead of at times having to keep up with who they're playing. And
sorry, I did the fist motion.
The fist on the throat motion.
Just Alyssa Thomas punching people.
Yeah, I think that style of play is not going to get. You're going to get beaten when teams. They're at times it's worked. In that you sort of punch the bully in the mouth, and yet they're the bully. And I think it's a little. I love the move. I really do love.
I think a lot of people question the move at 11 and 19. Why are you trading away draft capital for an old lady?
But
that's kind of
I don't like the move with 14
games
left. With 14 games left.
14 games left. Okay.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, why this late?
5 games out when they made the trade with 14 games left.
And why is the deadline so late? When you a 44-game season, there's 14. So I mean,
are you surprised that no other contender stepped up for a scoring specialist like Kelsey Plum?
Well, what's funny? Last week on the show with Alex, I said the team that I wouldn't have been shocked to see go after her was the New York Liberty, because the Liberty are in it. They're the 8th seed, and I thought that would be a great fit with Sabrina Ionescu in the backcourt and Breanna Stewart.
It would have been cool for Plum from a money standpoint away from the game. Not that Phoenix is a crap market, but my God, Kelsey Plum in New York for a couple of years, with the kind of money she'd make off the court.
Right, and the money that she makes off of, I can't think of her last name, who's the Rock's ex-wife, Danny. She was part of the I can't think of her last name, but she owns the fashion line, and she bought into Plum, and Plum reps her clothes, and I really liked the idea of her possibly going to the New York Liberty, and thought she'd be a great fit there because she knows those players well from the Team USA, just like she knows Kalia Copper and Alyssa Thomas. So yes, I'm not I'm not against her joining the Phoenix Mercury. I just don't get the move this late in the season because I think that she could be a good fit. She's going to be a good fit in most places. Kelsey Plum's the type of player that will find her role, whatever they brought her in for. If it was going to be the Toronto Tempo to bring her in to join, to jump in the backcourt until Kiki Rice, Brittany Sykes, join Marina Mabry. If it was going to be Portland to pick up where Ashley Barker blew out her knee and try to help. But with Phoenix, I get it. I just don't get it this late in the season. So if you're planning on hoping to sign her long term, because her contract's expiring, she's basically a rental. So unless they're going to sign her long term, I don't know what they're doing. I really don't. Because she says the agent said, hey, here's where you're going. Right? So the fact of the matter is, if in fact there's a deal in the works and the agent had a talk with the front office and said, well, and don't forget, Phoenix, they have the nice facility. That's something that's important to Kelsey Plum. There's other veterans on that team that she knows very well. I know Kalia Copperell was very excited for her to join there. Tibbetts is a little bit of a, he's a South Dakota guy. I don't want to say he's out of the mold of Becky Hammond because it's not like they coach together, but he's a player-friendly coach from my understanding. The players that I've talked to like him. There's not really a dislike. The people that have bolted are in recent years are Brittany Griner, Tarasi retired, Natasha Cloud. So I don't know. I don't know what the thought process is because I don't think that if the Mercury had a couple of extra weeks and maybe 5 more games, they could make a run. I just think it's going to be very hard to make up 5-6 games when the 7th, 8th place teams are playing well. You're talking about the Mystics and the Liberty. They're going to have to collapse, and they're going to have to leapfrog those other teams. So it's going to be difficult for the Mercury to make a run.
Well, back to baseball. A's just gave up 3 runs in the bottom of the 5th as Ellie De La Cruz and Stewart driving runs. So we got a tie game now. So JT again got to the 5th and then started to fall apart. So 3-3 tie, bottom 5.
Not over. Never over.
No. A's, though, on the injury front, we started to hit on this about half an hour ago. The list is ridiculous. Denzel Clark still isn't back. So according to Martin Gallegos, I think I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, but he said he continues running, throwing, and hitting progression, but in Arizona. Zach Geloff will be with the Aviators. Nick Kurtz was put on the DL, diagnosed with an acute on chronic volar plate tear of the MCP joint.
I don't know what that is. Have we Googled it?
I don't know, but I saw an A's site, fan site, list these stats. Nick Kurtz since mid-June, 22 games, hitting 123 over that time, 415 OPS, 2 homers, 8 ribs. Is his thumb bothering him that much, or has the weight of the 2026 A's season weighed him down? I don't think it's the season. I don't think he's been right.
So,
not good.
The chronic volar plate tear of the carpophalangeal, the MCP joint,
easy for you to
long-standing injury where the ligament on the palm side of the joint remains torn, often leading to joint instability and deformities like Swan Neck. These injuries are typically managed with splinting therapy. And so basically, now I will tell you this.
Now I got to go to the web to look up Swan Neck. I feel like I have a swan neck. My neck hurts right now. Or is that not the same thing? It's not this. Well, this isn't good. Now, the first thing that comes up is swan neck deformity finger. This sucks. I don't want to read on anymore.
I was told by somebody
terrible.
I was told by somebody a week and a half ago that they brought him back too soon. And in the description of this, chronic volar plate tear, long-standing injury where the ligament on the palm side remains torn. That person was right. I have a long-standing wrist injury, but it's for way other reasons which we can't discuss.
Oh, boy. Some blue humor. I don't know what the hell just happened there. It isn't what happened. I just...
shit.
It is what happened. It is what happened. By the way, the A's deadline Yikes. Not a whole lot of action. We had talked about the riches in the minors with hitting, with Colby Thomas, who just hasn't broken through. He really hasn't gotten any opportunity. I think he's a good prospect, but they sent him off for an older right-handed pitcher who has not broken through yet. Was the first-round pick of the Phillies back in 2019 in Seth Johnson. So throws upwards of 97, 98. Good slider. Maybe they can get him right. But that is more of what they need to do is – I know it seems crazy because they haven't been hitting the ball lately, but spin off some of their hitters, especially some of their prospects, for some pitching depth. Raiders camp. We were talking about some of the things that were going on the offensive line in the opening hour, so make sure you go back and listen to the show at lvsportsnetwork.com when we close things out. Michael Mayer yesterday, as they put it, left practice with a busted nose, which was not at – no, he is at practice today, or he was. This morning. This, again, is from Sam Warren of The Athletic, but was not in uniform. Busted nose. Have you had one?
No, I've been busted in the nose, but I've never had a busted nose.
Yeah, I look like I've had a busted nose, but I have not. Have I been punched in the nose? Yes.
Yeah.
Been punched in the jaw? Yes. Have I had my nose broken? I think technically I have, but not by a punch.
Have you broken anybody's nose?
I had to get surgery as a Ute.
Did you?
Yeah, had some polyps up on the schnozola. So
interesting. Some polyps in the schnoz.
Yeah. So I think they broke it, and if it was not good before, it's got worse. But I can act like I just need the cauliflower ears. I can act like I fight a lot, even though I don't. So Michael Mayer not practicing today.
He did not practice today.
He was there, but not in uniform. This is my favorite thing, because I want to get to the note about alums that were at camp today, because it's one of my favorite things about the Raiders. I don't know that we're ever going to get the full Kubi. What can we call Kubiak? Does he have a nickname yet?
Kubi?
Can we go with Kubi, or is that like not?
Or just Koobs?
Or is that not Koobs?
Koobs.
Wow. Careful. What's worse, Koobs or Kubi?
What's wrong with Koob?
Kubi.
Yeah,
Kubi's bad.
Kubi's
especially when you say it like that.
Kubi's too.
Hey, Kubi.
Kubi's too cute. Koobs. What's up, Koobs?
Koobs.
It's kind of like Cub. What up, Cub? What up, Koobs? You can't say Cubs. Koobs.
What's worse, Kubi or Corky? James says Corky. It has nothing to do with Kubi. It was just gonna.
What about just KK?
I don't like where that's gonna go.
It could get bad.
Yeah.
So Koobs.
That was Kevin Kruger.
What's up, Koobs? I'm going with Koobs.
My older brother's nickname for the first 20 years of his life was Corky. He does not like it now. He's He's going to turn 66.
What was yours, Kofi? Stevie?
I just think it was like, shut up! Something like that.
I have the list of all the veterans that were there, by the way. We were sent this in the media group.
How cool is that?
Have you seen it?
I have. I had it on the rundown, but go ahead and read through it.
The list of alums. Oh, you did. So Sam tweeted out. Yeah. Fred Bolitnikoff, Steve Wisniewski, Richie Incognito, Mervin Fernandez, easy for me to say, Greg Townsend, Kenyon Drake, Roy Hart, Charles Jordan, Gus Otto, Gary Weaver, Rod Coleman, Roland Williams, Orrin O'Neill, Jay Schrader, Leroy Glover, and
your guy,
and my guy, Las Vegas' own Western High standout. I will hold it against him that he went to Reno. Frank Hawkins.
When are we getting Frank the Tank on?
We'll get him on whenever you want. All I got to do is text him. I'll get him on Thursday if you want.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, I'll text him.
Got to find out what he thinks about Raiders camp.
Let's get him on. He's a Super Bowl champion. People seem to forget. He's a local hero.
No, a lot of new people here, Willie. They don't know the old times.
Well, they better learn. Listen. It's one thing about the Aces or the Golden Knights, but the Raiders is a historic franchise. If you're going to come here and cheer for the Raiders and you say you're an old-school Raider fan, you better learn who played for the Raiders if you were in Las Vegas. Like Nick Bell, who went to Iowa, graduated in Clark in 1986, went to Iowa University and played for the Raiders. Like Frank Hawkins, Western High School. Reno, when it was UNR. Won a Super Bowl with the Raiders. Let's go! I'm going to get Frank on. I'm texting him. Done deal.
Okay.
All right. I'm texting him right now to get it confirmed.
UNLV camp, you can wait till the break. You can listen to the interview with Corey Dennis. I want your feedback on it.
Just hush. Go.
Okay. Willie's off. Willie's going to do his own thing, so I'm going to take
I'm
over.
paying attention. This coming from the guy who manipulates the phone, the microphone, the camera, and the live stream while he's talking.
That's not distracting at all.
I'm not distracting you. Go.
You thought I was suggesting that you're incapable of multitasking.
Yes, you are. Just like
you are.
Just like you insinuating that I can't make mac and cheese.
That was a mistake. I got my head ripped off for that one. I'll never make that mistake. I'll never make that mistake again. Today was quarterback day. Listen, every day is quarterback day at all these football camps, but UNLV made Jackson Arnold and Alex Orji available, and they also put Corey Dennis in front of us. And Coach Corey doesn't talk a whole lot, but his story is pretty interesting because Corey Dennis was highly coveted in the offseason. Georgia Tech made a real run at him. Now, if you don't know, Corey Dennis has ties to Mullen in multiple ways. You know, part of the Mullen tree, but he's also part of the Urban Meyer tree. In fact, he's part of the Urban Meyer family tree because he is Urban Meyer's son-in-law. And Corey Dennis had a chance to go to Georgia Tech and turned him down. I don't know what his eventual goal is because, man, you go to a Power 4, I mean, you can be making $800,000, $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million if you're a really highly coveted guy.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the salary on Brennan Marion. I'm sure he's making north of like $1.2 million because he gave up a head coaching job to go to Power 4 from Sac State to go to Colorado. But, a lot of conversation about the quarterbacks. And Jackson Arnold's a really interesting guy. He's going to be a fascinating follow this year. He was a top 10 recruit coming out of Texas, a top 10 quarterback overall coming out of Texas. Ohio State wanted him. He wound up going to Oklahoma. And I asked Corey Dennis about recruiting Arnold multiple times, and especially going back to his high school days when he wanted to get Arnold at Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching Jackson. He was in high school his senior year playing Allen, Texas. I mean, it was a huge game, big-time game, and, we recruited him for a long time, went back and forth, and, finally I've tried to recruit him other places throughout, when he's gotten in the portal, but now we got him here, and we're excited to have him.
What are the qualities you like?
I mean, ultimately he's a competitor, right? He's a guy who wants to win games, and then forget just the physical, tangible things that he can do. But his mind's really sharp. He understands football. He's played a lot of games, but his competitiveness and his ability to want to win is something that really, stands out and that we really look for in a quarterback.
You did a great job last year of rehabbing Calandria. Did Arnold need as much rehabbing? Like, what did he need to fix? What did you see with other squads?
I wouldn't say somebody needs to fix something or change something, but I mean, it's play within their means or, kind of understand the offense and doing things. And, we have to play to Jackson's strengths, or we have to play to Alex's strengths, or we have to play to Sebastian's strengths. We have to play to those guys' strengths instead of asking them to do things that they might not necessarily be comfortable with, play in and play out.
And that's a learning process for you guys, right? Because
for sure.
Talking to Mullen at the Mountain West Conference Media Days, he said, like, hey, 3 weeks in last year, we realized, like, our guy is not that comfortable in the pocket. We got to change things. How hard is that to recognize and then change, like, 3 games into the season? Yeah, I mean, it's the injury was kind of going one thing with Alex. You kind of go one way, and then all of a sudden you kind of have to pivot a little bit. But ultimately, with OTAs have been really helpful. You see what guys are good at. You see what guys like, concepts that they like, and just kind of have to keep going with the flow. And ultimately, you have to be able to adapt. If you kind of back yourself in a corner as an offense, that's where you get jammed up, and then you're fighting uphill. Can you speak to Orji's nature? He's generally he's just a good guy, and I would think it's different than a lot of quarterback rooms where a feeling of intense competition and maybe even some dislike at times. I don't see that from these guys.
No, the one thing, and I've been around a lot of quarterback battles and a lot of competitions throughout the years, and one thing that we used to always say, the only person who knows what it's like to play quarterback at UNLV is a quarterback at UNLV. So I can coach those guys up. I have a lot of things to say, but ultimately, day in and day out, Alex knew what Ant was going through. Ant knew what Alex was going through. Alex knows what Jackson's going through. So ultimately, you need to lean on each other. And I think that those guys understand that. They're older guys, and so they understand what those things are like.
Last one, after a really good season a year ago, guys had options, players had options. You had options.
Yeah.
I think you took at least, we'll say, one visit.
Yeah.
What was the deciding factor to come back?
I love it here. I love Coach Mullen. I think we have something really special here. I hope I'm here for a long time, and I hope we continue to win a lot of games. You just see where we are and where this place can be, and it's exciting. And so I think that that's what really did it is, the trajectory of this place, Hart, what he's done with this place, the resources that we have, this building that we have, the players that we're getting is, this is an exciting time for UNLV football. And I just would have hated to have been looking away and been like, hey, I could have been there with those guys. So
Did you already get Arnold before you took your visits?
All in the mix of everything.
Is that part of it? You're actively recruiting kids to come here. I mean, you're helping out Mullen, but then if you leave, it's like, hey, I just told this kid I'm going to be here.
Yeah, and ultimately, you just have to be honest. And the one thing is, that happened before any of the Jackson stuff or really any of the Anthony stuff. But the one thing about everybody is hard conversations are always hard, but if you're honest, you might as well get it and take it and kind of keep it moving from there.
There he is, Corey Dennis, the OC for UNLV, certainly high in the program.
You know what I like about him is that you have a guy who he was a two-way player, right? So he understands the nuances of both sides. It's one thing to, you can be a smart coordinator on both sides because you know what you're scouting, but he's actually been in those situations. He's been on both sides of the ball. He played on both sides of the ball. His approach as a coordinator is going to have him thinking not just in what he sees and studies, but at what he's seen on the field. And I think, considering his age, he's a young guy. So he's going to be able to relate to a lot of these guys. And I think that he's going to be able to build the chemistry, and that's what you need to build relationships. And more than anything, build trust, especially with your coordinators, not only from the players, but from your head coach. And if your head coach trusts you in a position that he is as an OC and the quarterback's coach with a air quote race, I think it's important. So I just like what he has to say and what he brings to this team.
Went to G-Tech. That's where he visited. So he turned down his alma mater.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, though, he's got long-standing ties with Mullen.
Mm-hmm.
He's part of the Urban Meyer family. He's only 34.
Yeah.
Next time I talk to him, and maybe I'll do it off mic to whatever. I did want to ask him. I wonder what his aspirations are. I don't know that he can answer honestly because, could he be looking at UNLV as a place where, hey, I get my first shot and I'm coach in waiting, say Mullen stays another 2 or 3 years? Because here's the thing. Like I said, he can write his ticket. He can be an OC anywhere with his ties. Is that actually a better path where you don't take a job at a place like UNLV and you're like, I'm going to make $1.5 million and be an OC at a highfalutin place for 3 years, and then I can go to another highfalutin place?
Well, and I think that
I wonder how guys think now.
When you look at his resume and coming from Ohio State, right, time spent there, and now at UNLV, and like you said, he comes across as he's very comfortable in his role. Like he's not in a rush. And this is no knock on Brendan Marion, but he brought the go-go offense and all that, but he never made it a secret that he wanted to be a head coach. That was out there. And that first year when offers were coming in and they were supposedly the staff was going to leave, I think it wasn't in Houston, the offer was on the table. And I believe it was after they lost not the bowl game, but the Mountain West Conference Championship, that offer was off the table for both Odom and him to go as a combo. So he knew that he wanted to leave. He made it no secret. It got around quickly that he was disappointed when he wasn't offered head coaching positions that he thought he should have gotten. Corey sounds like he's a guy who's content with where he's at. He's patient. He knows his time is coming, given his age. He's got a long way to go, and head coaching spots coming.
I will also say Marion and Dennis are in different positions in the coaching fraternity. Like, Dennis has a lot of connections. I think Marion has operated as a mercenary because he felt like he had to operate as a mercenary. That he's got to kind of like, hey, 2 years here, strike while the iron's hot. Listen, he's in a good position. I don't know what Deion's going to do after this year.
Right.
Now, Marion's not in a good position if Deion and Colorado go 3-9. That's not exactly hey, bump up the OC to be the head coach.
Well, and I
think that's why Marion jumped at that opportunity. He gets to work for a high-profile guy in a big conference. He's probably making lots of money, and you never know. You never know.
Listen, you may think he's in a good position, but I also think he's in a disadvantageous situation. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm using it. If things go south, Deion's not taking the blame.
Oh no,
he's not a guy that's he's not a guy that's going to be like, he's passing the buck. If the offense fails, it's not on Deion.
I think Marion's a super confident guy, though. He's confident
Well,
that he
100%.
loves his offense. He does have
the personality deserve a match.
A good young prospect quarterback. Like if he turns around Julian Lewis and he becomes
he will
an above average Big 12 quarterback, and he probably will.
He will. He'll do all the right things. It's a matter of them winning. If they lose and he did all the right things, someone's catching the flack. Whether it's the defense, whether it's the offensive coordinator, whatever it ain't going to be Dion.
Up next, and mark my word on this, we are going to be covering college football from end to end, and most of the conferences. I don't know if we're going to be doing hardcore Conference USA talk, but SEC and Big Ten insiders. We're going to talk to Heath Cline on the way back, one of our SEC insiders, to go into some of the biggest stories around the Southeastern Conference. But before that, we've got this is cool. We've got William Hill, a free entry to the William Hill Pro Pick'em contest. You got to be 21 plus. You're picking straight up.
Okay.
Straight up. And there's a prize pool of $1.2 million. You don't have to agree. $1.2 million is $10,000 pool every single week. It's a free entry into the William Hill Pro Pick'em contest. If you want to find out where to sign up or more information on the contest, you can go to williamhill.us. Caller 7 right now. Caller 7 364 1100.
You're listening to ESPN Las Vegas from the Findlay Toyota studio.
What a fascinating time in college football. Because for a long time, the SEC got to beat its chest about being the best conference in the country. Some rules changed. A lot of money has come to the table. A lot of markets now can legally cheat, and it seems to have changed the landscape of college football. I don't know if it has. Short sample. Heath Cline covers the SEC. He has for a long time. He's our buddy who's based in Atlanta. He's up with Cofield and Willie. Heath, how are you?
Hey, Steve, how are you, man?
I'm good. Say hi to Willie.
Hey there, Willie. How are you, man?
Heath, how's it going?
So, my lead-in, kind of setting up the SEC now getting a little more of a balanced look from the Big Ten. One, do you believe that's true, that the Big Ten has caught the SEC? Two, how big a talking point is this around the SEC now that people around the country are trying to clown on the conference that it's been caught?
Well, I mean, look, if you do what they have done and you have made your brand that we never lose and that it just means more and all that, then yeah, when people have a chance to give it back to you, they were always going to. I do think this notion that somehow the Big Ten as a whole has figured things out and they're the new normal now, that they will be the beast, I think that is still far from a proven concept. I mean, if you look at it, Ohio State was the most talented team that year. Everybody expected they were going to win. They managed to screw around enough that they didn't win the Big Ten. But in the end, the team that had the most talent, that everybody thought from the beginning of the year was the most talented team, won the playoff. So all credit to Ohio State. Ohio State will always, in any given year, have enough talent that they could probably win this thing. That's not changed. You can argue, certainly, that Indiana is the hugest outlier that we've ever seen in the sport, maybe since BYU, to win a national championship. And we'll see now that people kind of see them coming a little bit and that they don't have a Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback this year. We'll see what they are. I feel like they're more likely to be what they were the year before, a good team, but not the national champions, than that suddenly everybody's chasing Indiana year after year. But we'll see. But beyond that, Steve, I mean, Michigan was incredibly fortunate just to survive their semifinal with Alabama. Heck, last year, Carson Beck, if he doesn't throw a pick, Miami almost wins last year. Like, it's not hard at all to see a scenario where the Big Ten has one of the last three, and we're not talking about, OMG, the Big Ten has just passed everybody. I don't think that's the reality of it. But give them credit. I mean, they had won 2.5 national titles from the end of LBJ's presidency until this run. And now they've won 3 in a row. So give them credit for that. But I don't think that they have solved the puzzle and that's it. Now it's going to be like a run of dominance for them of like 3-4 more in a row. That would surprise me a lot.
Heath Cline is with us. Heath, we're going to reconnect with you on the phone. We're going to use a different method because your voice is getting a little morphed with our current hookup, but we can take him down, please. The retort to that would be what Rhett Lashley has been saying, the coach at SMU, who is quick to point out all the chest thumping by the SEC about how deep the conference is and how great it is. Yeah, most of it's based on like 5 programs, which is kind of the situation in the Big Ten. Like, no one's saying freaking Rutgers and Northwestern are some superpowers. But in the SEC, they will actually act like Ole Miss and Mississippi State and Vandy deserve to get the glory of the SEC. Like, these conferences are built on the 4 or 5 biggest brands spending a lot of money and winning national championships. We'll bring Heath back up on the phone here on Cofield and Company. Okay, some of the bigger storylines in the conference. I actually want to start close to home with Georgia. Again, you just mentioned how many small plays throughout a season, plays that happen in a playoff, how things can change. I would assume Georgia has the same exact goals, and the fans are just as demanding this year based on last year, which didn't end the way they wanted it to, but they got a hell of a crew coming back.
They do. The thing about them, Steve, is that right now, Georgia, you look at them and they're solid, but what they're not is they're not special. You guys get a firsthand look at a guy in Brock Bowers who is a special athlete. Ladd McConkey was a really elite wide receiver. In the history of Georgia football, they've only had 1,000-yard wide receiver ever. But maybe they would have had a 1,000-yard season out of Bowers if he stays healthy. I think probably he does get 1,000 if he stays healthy that year. But under Kirby Smart, they have just not had a dynamic passing game. And I think this year, especially with Zachariah Branch off to the NFL, that's the question is they know how to win in regular season. They'll win their 10-plus games again. They'll probably be a contender for the SEC championship, which they've won the last 2. But do they have that extra gear that the best Georgia teams, the national title good Georgia teams did? I'm not sure they do. That's the thing. They feel really good, but they don't feel special. The one team in this conference I think everybody looks at and says they're special is Texas. Now, if Kirby was coaching Texas and Sark was coaching Georgia, then I think people would say, I know who's going to win. The problem is, right now, we don't know that Sark can actually finish the job with Texas. They're the ones that look like the vintage SEC team, and Georgia's the one that year in, year out has been the best SEC team so far this decade.
Well, build on that. Why do you think Texas is special?
I think that, first of all, they figured some things out in what they needed to do to compete in the conference in a way that they didn't necessarily know at the beginning. I know that everybody's probably saying, oh, yeah, sure, how good is Arch? If you watched Arch Manning over the course of the year and the way he evolved, the expectations at the start were ridiculous, and he certainly didn't live up to them at the beginning. By the end, he looked like a guy who at least showed you he could make a lot of growth, and there's no reason to think he won't grow again this year. And they got him a guy in Cam Coleman, Steve, that was just being wasted by Auburn, but he is such an electrifying, talented receiver, and I think you put him with what they already have in Austin, and that should take that passing game to a new level. Sark blew out basically their whole backfield and went and grabbed a running back from NC State that he took off of Alabama's plate. I mean, he had already committed to Alabama, and Texas said, we got more money, and we're Austin, and Austin's a lot more fun than Tuscaloosa. How about you come here? I mean, they have really put the resources in this year to say, this is the year. And if he doesn't win one this year, Steve, at least break through, win an SEC, continue to make some headway in the playoff, even if he doesn't win the thing, then I think that that's where people in Austin are going to start to say, okay, this may not be the guy.
Willie, Cofield with Heath Cline, SEC Insider, getting ready for the college football season, which opens up in 25 days. Week 0 is August 29th. I mean, one of our favorite stories to follow. I love the saga of Lane Kiffin down the stretch with Ole Miss, moving on to LSU. LSU is 6-1 to win the SEC. A couple of things with LSU. First, Kiffin at SEC Media Day I thought was pretty interesting with his revelation in the offseason that maybe I shouldn't be on social media so much.
Yes, his son supposedly got him to take the apps off his phone, and the SEC office would probably be willing to throw a little bit under the table to Knox to get him to keep the pressure on Dad to, keep that phone in the drawer. Don't be tweeting. We don't need that in our life. They would be thrilled in Birmingham if he holds to that vow through the regular season. I don't think he can do it. You know him as well as anybody, Steve, what an egomaniac that guy is. Sooner or later, he will need to make it about him again. But in the short term, it seems like he's been trying to cool things off a little bit. He's been trying to trot out we might not win year one. It's like, no, brother. They are paying you to win immediately. They don't want to hear one word about building or anything else. You're supposed to win right this minute.
Well, that's why I find his construction of the quarterback room pretty fascinating. I think Sam Levitt is awesome, but can he be awesome coming off an injury? And I also believe Husan Longstreet is going to be tremendous, but I don't know that they want to play him this year. So give us a skinny on the quarterback room because obviously that's where it starts and ends, a lot of it with LSU.
Yeah, you hit it on Levitt. I mean, if Levitt's healthy, there's no reason to think he wouldn't be pretty good. And particularly when you see what Kiffin has been able to do with a variety of quarterbacks. I mean, even going back to Jonathan Crompton at Tennessee, that's a name that probably nobody there even remembers. But Crompton was so different as a player that 1 year with Lane at Tennessee than he'd been before, or that he ever was again. Like, between those two guys, remember, Steve, Trinidad Chambliss was not supposed to be their starter last year. Austin Simmons got hurt, who's now at Missouri, and Trinidad Chambliss turned into a guy who was good enough to get them to the semifinals and the playoffs. I mean, he has just shown with a variety of different guys, whatever flaws he's got as a guy, as a head coach to run your program, he will get quarterback play out of somebody. And between the two of them, I can't imagine he won't have a really effective player, even if Levitt's foot's an issue. But at least talking to people in Baton Rouge, they think he's okay right now.
He's speaking with Heath Cline. Heath, I'm going to have to go rogue on this, and because we love to talk food on this. I need an update. Do we have an update on UT San Antonio coach Jeff Traylor and his attempt at trying to microwave a brisket? This is kind of unacceptable in the state of Texas, I think.
Yeah, he made that comparison at the American Conference Media Day. I was down there for that, too, after SEC Media Days, and his thing was, he would prefer the 3-day cook of the brisket, which I will say 3 days, that is a substantial cook of the brisket. But he says, I'd rather have a 3-day cook, and now they got me microwaving a brisket and trying to make it taste right. And you can definitely tell that that's not where he wants to be, but that's the reality for those guys. All of them, I mean, they were talking about the idea, hey, 78% of our players that were on the all-conference team moved on, that were eligible to moved on somewhere else. Like, they know all their players. If you have a good player, that's it. Doesn't matter if he's a sophomore or a senior, he's gone next year. So, yeah, it's a challenging place for a guy like that to be, but I'm with him. Microwave brisket, very bad idea.
Yeah. Let's stay in the state of Texas. Texas A&M nationally, 17-1 to win the national championship. Give me the upside and downside.
The upside is that they've got a coach who knows how to set a standard and consistently build and win. I mean, Mike Elko is very, very good. What my issue with them remains is I don't know that there's another level for Marcel Reed to get to. I don't know if he can do it. There is another level for him to get to. I don't know if he can do it. And, I talked to him at SEC Media Days. Seems like a good kid, doing all the right things and everything. But if you watch him play, they lost a guy in Casey Concepcion who was a huge part of their offense last year. So I find it hard to believe he's going to build more chemistry and get better as a quarterback in the pass game to make that offense good enough to win when it matters the most. Steve, if you look at their schedule, they have a perfect schedule for the first 2 months of the year. They get LSU the week after the game with Ole Miss. So if you're going to have to play LSU, I mean, that's the time to catch them out for a big emotional game like that. They get Alabama after they play the Citadel. So, again, if you're going to have to play them, you're catching them at a good time. And then in November, that's where it gets a little more challenging. End of the year, you got Tennessee, at Oklahoma, Texas. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Elko has them at 8-1 or 9-0 or something like that. But then can they get through those last few at the end to be good enough to compete for the SEC? We'll see. But they could certainly be playoff good. I just can't. They got a first-year coordinator who they promoted from receivers coach. Can he bring it out of Marcel Reed when a guy who was good enough to be a head coach couldn't do it, and Colin Klein? That's the thing that makes me reluctant to believe they could be special. Good, maybe even playoff good, sure.
Let's go rapid fire here. 5 questions in about 3 minutes. Correct me if I'm wrong. Alabama did not play the highfalutin transfer quarterback game. Do you like that?
I mean, if Keelan Russell was the player they think he is, Steve, then they didn't need a transfer quarterback. They got him 2 years ago. He redshirted. Then he last year was waiting behind Simpson. If he's the player they think he is, they've got an elite-level athlete, and we'll see what that translates to on the field.
I heard ESPN radio show leading into ours talking about Pete Golding and Ole Miss, saying that Pete Golding proved all he needed to. Yeah, he filled in for Lane Kiffin. He was great. I don't buy it.
No, you shouldn't buy it. There's plenty of reason to wonder about Pete Golding as a year-in, year-out head coach of a program. He brought an offensive coordinator in from East Carolina that he's hoping can maintain that offense at the level that Trinidad Chambliss was so effective in last year. Maybe he can. ECU was good last year, but there's a difference in what you see there and what you see in the SEC. So we'll see how he adapts to the level of athleticism and just the week-in, week-out coaching he's going to see in this conference. But if you ask me, do I think Pete Golding is a successful head coach and still has that job in 5 years, I would lean no.
Heath Cline's with us. Last couple questions about the SEC, and we're going to have a lot of time this year to talk about SEC football throughout the season here on Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas. It felt like 95% of Tennessee fans, if not more, were happy that they said buzz off to Nico. I wonder how they're feeling right now, although from what I read, they're pretty high on a freshman quarterback.
Yeah, they got a kid in Faison Brandon who's supposed to be, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, if not the most touted quarterback in the country this past year. Heupel has shown year in, year out, he gets production out of his quarterbacks. The thing is, he never seems to have them for more than 1 year at a time. But if Brandon is the player that they say he is, he will probably be good this year, and they should have him for multiple years and build off of that. George McIntyre's been there longer, but again, everything you hear is that Brandon probably has that job.
Mizzou, South Carolina, Auburn, Vandy, Kentucky, Arkansas, Mississippi State, all from 30-1 all the way down to 200-1 to win the SEC. I'll read them again. Mizzou, South Carolina, Auburn, Vandy, Kentucky, Arkansas, Mississippi State. In that group, is there a school that could finish top 4? I'm going to go aggressive. Top 4 in the conference.
Probably not, but if there's one that maybe could surprise Auburn, just because they've got a bunch of kids that came with USF coach Alex Golesh there, so they've got a quarterback who knows the system. They didn't change the coordinator, so defensively they're not starting fresh on that side. Could Auburn get hot early if they beat Baylor, which they should in Atlanta, win that game week 3 against Florida? Could they maybe make some noise? You could sell me it's possible because they have so many kids, kind of like Signetti bringing all his kids with him. Same kind of deal here with Golesh. But I'd still be surprised if any of those did get to the top 4.
Vandy, 80-1. This is the last one. Is Vandy going to fall to a 4 or 5 win program this year?
I don't know if I buy that they fall all the way to 4 or 5, but so much of their identity was Diego Pavia and what he could do in that offense. Even if Jared Curtis, and they haven't committed to him, but the freshman who, again, was a 5-star quarterback that they got away from Kirby Smart in Georgia, even if he lives up to the billing, boy, he's going to change the way they play. He's just nothing similar at all. I mean, he's a passer. He's not a Diego Pavia run-around kind of guy. So I would think the adaptation to that and some of the other guys that they lost, like Stowers, if they make a bowl, it's a good year. I could see 6 and 7 feels like top end to me.
Heath, good job, buddy. Appreciate your flexibility. We'll talk to you.
Sure. See you.
There he is, Heath Cline, SEC Insider. Let's do a giveaway here before we get to the grab bag. Aviators taking on the River Cats on the 13th of this month at LV Ballpark. 4-pack of tickets going out right now. Las Vegas against Sacktown. Ticketmaster.com is where you can get your tickets for all Aviators games. But we got a 4-pack right now. James is going to hook you up. 364-1100. Caller 7.
Cofield and Company presents Grab Bag on ESPN Las Vegas.
Stick your hand in there, dude.
We have episode 2 of Angering the APD, America's Program Director. It's another National Food or Drink Day? National White Wine Day?
National White Wine
White.
Yeah.
I'm not a wine guy. You are, though. I've seen you. You're kind of fancy.
Had a great red wine last night.
Here we go. You with the spinning and the sniffing and the little slurp and all that.
Sniffing?
You people. You wine people.
Sniffing was done a long time ago. I don't sniff anymore.
You don't do the sniff?
Oh, you mean smelling of the wine? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I swirl and sniff. 100%.
But white wine, though?
Nah, I'm just not a white wine guy. I'm sure it's not a knock on white wine. It's just more so the taste, and I feel as if it's sweetened up a little bit too much. I mean, you can get a nice one, but it's either too. I don't know. Just not. It's kind of like sharp cheese. It's either too sharp, too sweet. Red wines you can savor the moment when you take in a nice red wine. You ever watch Tony Soprano enjoy a red wine?
Yes.
Yeah. That's how I do it.
I was watching video over the weekend. Someone was comparing his method of eating pasta. It's a lot of aggressive poking at spaghetti.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times he was talking about the business.
Did you see who died?
I did.
Vincent
big
Pastore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people are sad. It's sad. I guess he was doing pretty well health-wise, and then out of nowhere.
But Sal Bumpanseri was his name.
Yep. Well, I'm going to leave this to the sites that love talking about the WNBA. I think they're going to fall in love with the new name of Cleveland's team, but we'll break that down later in the week. The Sirens. Willie, James, thank you. Social media, everybody, check it. Lots of archives of the show.